In the ruins area of planet Kaisar, the eternal yellow sand storm roars like a wild beast, swallowing up all the broken steel remains. The air was filled with the smell of burnt metal and rotten grease, which was so pungent that it made people breathless. In the distance, several scrapped old Federation mechas stood like ruins, their engine casings covered with rusty pits, as if mocking the backwardness of this marginal planet. Ha ha ha, Xiao Yi. Are you a loser still picking up these scraps of iron? Do you think you can become a mecha master by piecing together a broken thing? Xiao Yi's laughter hit everyone's eardrums like a whip. He was wearing a gorgeous noble flight suit and a pair of shimmering energy boots. He glided down from a high altitude and raised a cloud of dust when he landed. There were several followers behind him, all of them with contemptuous eyes and jokes on their lips. The scavengers around him were whispering, some felt pity, others were gloating about his misfortune. Xiao Yi is one of the few aristocratic children of Caesar. He has top-notch parts transported from the core star of the Federation. His exclusive mecha, Silver Wolf, once crushed all local challengers in small-scale competitions. In comparison, Xiao Yi was just an orphan without a father or mother. He grew up in the ruins and taught himself how to maintain mechas, but he never passed any driving certification. A waste is a waste. Xiao Yi strode forward and kicked over the pile of parts at Xiao Yi's hand, causing debris to scatter. I heard that you can't even pass the basic simulation cabin. Huh, the garbage on the edge star will never be able to turn over. Get out of here, the Qiao family wants the resources here. Xiao Yi squatted by the sandpit, his hands stained with oil, and was carefully prying open a twisted armor plate. His face was thin, but his eyes were as sharp as a Steppenwolf. The homemade mecha, Grey Falcon, next to me stood crookedly, with its shell mottled and most of its thruster pipes broken. It looked like an abandoned toy. Shut up, Xiao Yi, Xiao Yi whispered, his voice as calm as the dead silence before the storm. Not everyone is like you, relying on your family to spend money to buy ready-made mechas. The followers burst into laughter, and a pudgy guy even spat on the ground. Boy, wake up, mecha masters are born with talent, you? Even worse than a mouse. The scavengers lowered their heads in silence, and some secretly glanced at Xiao Yi, with a flash of sympathy in their eyes. This kid did work hard, but in Caesar, the words of the nobles are the rule. Xiao Yi clenched his fists, his knuckles turned white, but he didn't say anything back. He knew it was useless to argue. Xiao Yi's Silver Wolf mecha was parked not far away, its engine roaring like a beast panting, and its thick alloy arms flashing with blue energy halo, ready to crush him into a pulp at any time. Gritting his teeth and standing up, he grabbed a piece of the Grey Falcon's shell and dragged it staggering away, its back becoming smaller and smaller in the wind and sand. As night falls, the cracks deep in the ruins are like the mouth of a giant beast. Xiao Yi sneaked in alone, and the beam of the flashlight swept across the layers of scrap iron, and a faint buzzing echoed in his ears. It was the aftermath of a magnetic storm unique to the planet Gezer, which would make ordinary people dizzy. He was breathing heavily, sweat mixed with sand sliding down his cheeks. Finally, in front of a collapsed ancient ruins, he saw it, a crystal core the size of a fist, suspended in the air, surrounded by a purple-black energy vortex, pulsating as violently as a heart. There was a strange smell of ozone in the air, which stung my nose. Mutated energy crystal core. Xiao Yi murmured, his eyes widening. This is a legendary forbidden part, which originated from the mutation of the universe. Very few people have seen it, let alone controlled it. It is rumored that it can adapt and fuse infinitely, but the implantation failure rate is as high as 99%, which can range from destroying the machine and killing people, to causing an energy runaway and turning the surrounding area into scorched earth. He swallowed. Xiao Yi's ridicule flashed through his mind, gritted his teeth and stretched out his hand. The moment his fingers touched, a cold current coursed through his body. He groaned and fell to his knees, his vision blurred and his ears ringing like insects gnawing at him. After 3 hours of suffering, Xiao Yi finally implanted the crystal core into the Grey Falcon's core cabin. The process was like Ling Qi, the crystal core sprayed energy arcs in rebellion. His skin was burned with blood marks, his sweat evaporated into white mist, and his arms were shaking so much that he could hardly hold the tool. The gray falcon's shell made a low roar, as if it came to life, and a blue-purple halo oozed from the cracks on its surface. It's done. He collapsed on the ground, panting, looking at the no longer broken mecha in front of him. A trace of ecstasy surged in his heart. The next morning, Gezer's public shooting range was packed with people. When Xiao Yi heard that Xiao Yi was going to test drive, he brought people around to watch with great fanfare, preparing to watch the joke. Come on, let's take a look at this loser's performance. He shouted loudly. The silver wolf mecha was already in place, its arm blade stretched out and made a crisp, click sound. Scavengers and passers-by crowded around, and some people shook their heads and sighed, Xiao Yi, I'm afraid he's going to get into trouble. An old scavenger whispered, I heard that he entered the restricted area last night. He won't create any monsters, right? Xiao Yi climbed into the cockpit of the Grey Falcon. The narrow space was filled with the smell of burnt engine oil and circuit boards. The neural link was activated, and the cold touch was like a needle piercing his spinal cord. He took a deep breath and pressed the start button. At first, everything was as usual. The Grey Falcon stood up awkwardly, its joints made harsh friction sounds, and the propellers only emitted weak yellow flames. It staggered forward 2 steps and almost fell over. The crowd burst into laughter. Xiao Yi crossed her arms and looked up to the sky laughing, did you see it? Waste will always be waste. This piece of shit can't even hit the target. The followers echoed, get out of here, Xiao Yi. Don't be embarrassed. The old scavenger shook his head, his eyes full of disappointment, boy, you are too reluctant. Cold sweat broke out on Xiao Yi's forehead, and his heart sank to the bottom of his heart, the pulsation of the crystal core ached faintly, as if mocking his unworthiness. But just when Grey Falcon was about to collapse, a searing heat surged out from the core cabin and hit his nerves. Buzz boom. The engine roared loudly, like thousands of thunder beasts roaring together, the ground trembled, and sand and dust billowed up. The Grey Falcon's arm blade retracted freely with a hiss, the alloy blade lengthened by 3 meters, and a flow of blue particles appeared on the surface, making a buzzing sound. The thrusters ejected bright blue particle tail flames, twisting the air and emitting high-frequency screams. Xiao Yi felt smoother than ever before, man and machine integrated into one. His thoughts run through the body like electricity, and every inch of steel is like an arm. Try this. He growled, and the Grey Falcon dived forward, its arm blade slicing across the first steel target in the test range. Tsong. The sound of metal shattering was like thunder, and the target turned into fireballs and scattered. The crowd fell silent. Xiao Zhisha's smile froze on her face and her eyes widened, this is impossible. The Grey Falcon accelerated, its pedals shaking the ground, but its thick body was as flexible as a ghost. The thruster's blue flames spurted wildly, creating waves of scorching hot air, and the smell was filled with the burnt smell of ionized air. The second target, the third target, the arm blades flashed continuously, the particle flow cut the air and made a sizzling, arc sound. Each blow was accurately exploded, and steel blocks fell like rain. The reinforced fortress target in the center of the shooting range, even Xiao Zhisha's silver wolf needs 3 hits to break. Grey Falcon waved one arm, the blade burst out, the fortress collapsed, and the fragments bloomed like fireworks. The whole place was dead silent. Then, an explosive exclamation sounded. The old scavenger's legs weakened and he fell to the ground, his voice trembling, oh my god. Oh my god. That's mutant energy. The Grey Falcon, it's alive. A follower turned pale and stuttered, boss, this kid, how did he do it? Xiao Zhisha took a step back, her pupils shrank, and cold sweat dripped on her forehead, fake. This is definitely fake. How can a loser control mutant parts? The scavengers went crazy. Some people shouted, Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi is invincible. Some people rubbed their eyes in disbelief and murmured, the arm blade can be retracted and retracted freely, the thruster blue particle flow, this is divine armor. The gray falcon hovered in mid-air, its engine roared endlessly, and the blue flames reflected the shocked faces of everyone. Xiao Yi gasped in the cabin, feeling a secret pulse deep in the crystal core, calling like a whisper, more mutant resources are needed. A feeling of uneasiness surged into his heart. At this moment, the sky was torn apart. A huge reconnaissance ship swooped down from the clouds, and the symbol of the Federal Mecha Academy shined, the Golden Eagle badge. The roar of the ship's engine overwhelmed everything else, and the scanning beam was locked directly on the Grey Falcon. The cold mechanical sound filled the audience, a mutated energy signal has been detected. Target Mecha, Grey Falcon. Xiao Yi, accept the Academy recruitment immediately. Otherwise, obliterate. The blue flames of the Grey Falcon danced wildly in the wind and sand, and the low-frequency roar of the engine was like the heartbeat of a giant beast, making the ground tremble slightly. The scanning beam of the reconnaissance ship locked onto the cockpit like a sharp sword, and the dazzling red light illuminated Xiao Yi's face. His heart shrank suddenly, and the crystal core pulse accelerated, as if warning of an impending crisis. Screams broke out in the crowd. Some people ran away with their heads in their hands, while others stood still. Xiao Zhixia's face instantly turned pale, and the arm blade of the silver wolf mecha clicked unconsciously. He took 2 steps back, his voice trembling like a candle in the wind, the Federation, they are really here. Xiao Yi, you are causing trouble for this good-for-nothing. Xiao Zhixia's face was twisted into a mixture of fear and jealousy. He stared at the Grey Falcon, his teeth chattering, Academy, they are coming. Xiao Yi, you. The crowd was restless, and in the wind and sand, the blue flame of the Grey Falcon burned more and more fiercely, and the crisis was imminent. The mechanical sound roared again, and the whole place echoed, counting down to 10 seconds, Grey Falcon Mecha, confirm the recruitment intention. If you refuse, the obliteration process will be executed. Under the beam, the Grey Falcon's alloy shell reflected a strange blue-purple color, and the particle flow ejected by the thruster distorted the air, making a high-frequency, sizzling, ionization sound. A heat wave hit the face, mixed with the pungent smell of burnt metal. The old scavenger's knees weakened and he murmured, it's over. The mutant energy is exposed, and the Academy never shows mercy. The followers fled in all directions. A short, fat guy stumbled and fell to the ground. When he got up, his pants were soaked, and he screamed, "Boss, get out." The mechanical sound of the reconnaissance ship paused, and the scanning beam turned to Bai Ning, identity confirmed, Bai Ning, retired S-class engineer of the Federation. Secret recruitment process allowed. Grey Falcon Mecha, transferred to private coordinates. Report to the Federal College Preparatory Camp within 72 hours. The beam suddenly extinguished, and the ship's engine roared, piercing the sky and jumping into the clouds, leaving a scorching trail, and the air was filled with the pungent sour smell of propellant. The whole place was dead silent, and then a tsunami of discussion broke out. Did Bai Ning recognize him? This kid Xiao Yi, is he just so lucky? The old scavenger wiped the corners of his eyes, his voice choked with sobs. The old man took action. Grey Falcon can be saved. No, Xiao Yi can be saved. Xiao Yi jumped out of the cockpit, and the Grey Falcon knelt down with a boom. The blue flame gradually extinguished, and the aftertaste of the heat wave melted the surrounding sand into glass. He gasped and looked at Bai Ning, his eyes full of doubts. Why? Bai Ning glanced at him, and the tip of the staff poked the ground, making a clang sound. Boy, I can feel the pulsation of the mutated crystal core from 10 miles away. Follow me, deep in the ruins, there is your way. Xiao Zhixia gritted her teeth, and the silver wolf mecha took a step forward, and the engine roared, Old man Bai, you can't protect the calf. This mutant thing will kill Xiao Yi sooner or later. Bai Ning snorted, ignored him, and turned around and disappeared into the sand fog. Xiao Yi dragged Grey Falcon to follow, and the crowd moved out of the way. Someone whispered, "Master Qiao, this time it's your turn to face pain." Qiao Zhixia's fists exploded, her knuckles dripping with blood, and her eyes burned with jealousy. "Xiao Yi, just wait for me." Deep in the ruins, there is a secret underground workshop with dim lights, and the air is filled with the arc stink of the welding gun and the sweet smell of lubricating oil. The walls are covered with twisted parts, and the ventilator hums like an old cow panting. Bai Ning closed the heavy steel door, locked it with a click, and turned around to stare at Grey Falcon. "Tear it down. Boy, the mutant crystal core is not a toy, it needs energy resonance adaptation. Your will is aligned with its frequency, otherwise the next test drive will explode into ashes." Xiao Yi was stunned, the tool in his hand paused, and the surrounding people, the scavenger assistants, whispered, "Have you ever heard of resonance? That's an S-class secret skill." Bai Ning threw a piece of scrap iron arm armor with pitted rust on the surface and weighed 100 kilograms. "Fuse this piece. Use the crystal core pulse to upgrade it into a deformable particle blade. Nano self-healing layer, high-frequency vibration cutting, tear the starship shell with one blow." Xiao Yi gritted his teeth and started. Grey Falcon lay on his back like a corpse. He dismantled the arm joints, sparks flew everywhere, and the harsh squeak of tearing metal could be heard in his ears. The crystal core was exposed, the purple-black vortex pulsed, and an icy arc of electricity was released, burning the skin of his arms to pieces. Sweat evaporated into mist, and he growled, "Why does it hurt so much?" Bai Ning sneered, "Suppress your desire first, boy. Suppress it until despair first, and then rise to the sky. This crystal core is testing you, if you are not worthy, you will die." The assistants' faces turned pale, and some of them backed away. "The old man is too cruel. Xiao Yi can't hold on, can he?" At the moment of fusion, the crystal core burst out with energy, the arm armor melted like wax, and the nanoparticles crawled all over the blade like living insects, emitting a buzzing, high-frequency vibration, and the air was cut into a vacuum trajectory, with a faint smell of ozone burnt. Just when Xiao Yi's arms were trembling and he was about to collapse, a thin young man rushed into the workshop, holding a welding gun and an alloy skeleton module in his hand. "Master, I'm late." Li Xiu, a young engineering genius in the ruins area, had a greasy face and eyes as bright as stars. He dropped the tools and knelt down to assist. "Brother Xiao, I simulated your crystal core frequency last night. Reinforce the frame and improve mobility, use my homemade alloy to reduce the weight by 30% and double the torque." Bai Ning nodded, "Boy, do it. When welding, keep up with the resonance rhythm." Li Xiu moved quickly, the blue flames of the welding gun sprayed out, sizzling, the golden bones, and the heat wave hit his nose. He explained while welding, "Brother Xiao, resonance adaptation is the integration of human and machine heartbeats. Your will is the frequency source, and the crystal core listens to you." The assistant stared wide-eyed, "Crazy Li Xiu, he can actually keep up with old man Bai." A fat assistant rubbed his eyes, "The skeleton can deform freely. The Grey Falcon's legs are as flexible as living things." After the fusion was completed, the Grey Falcon stood up again, the new arm blade stretched and retracted, and stretched by 5 meters with a hiss. The nano-layer of the blade shone with silver light and high-frequency vibration cut the air, emitting a ghostly scream. The flow of blue particles from the thruster is pure, and the engine roars like a thunderstorm gathering momentum. Xiao Yi climbed into the cabin, and the nerve connection was instantaneous. The integration of man and machine was like an electric current. He felt that every inch of steel in the body extended his nerves. The test drive began, and the interstellar battlefield was simulated in the workshop. The laser net poured down like a torrential rain, and the red light intertwined into a web of death. The Grey Falcon dived, and with a thought from Xiao Yi, the fuselage turned sideways and accurately flashed the laser. The clang-clang collision caused sparks to fly, and the heat wave was scalding. Accelerating and charging forward, the arm blades burst out in high-frequency vibration, tear. The simulated enemy aircraft, a used training armor, the shell cracked like paper, the internal circuit spewed fire, and the fragments hit the ground like rain, and the smell of burnt air filled the air. Li Xiu's eyes lit up and he hit the table with his fist. It's too fierce. Brother Xiao, your dodge arc is perfectly predicted. The assistants gasped, and a young man's legs went weak. The laser net can't even dodge the S-class pilot. Man and machine are one. Bai Ning nodded, with rare approval in his eyes. Daily training, that's it. Continue, peak test, break the sound barrier. Xiao Yi took a deep breath. The gray falcon thruster was fully opened, blue flames spurted out, the floor of the workshop cracked, and the roar was deafening, like the roar of all beasts. The fuselage pulled out an afterimage, and the air exploded, boom. The sound barrier was broken. The shock wave swept away everything, the lights flashed, and the assistants held their heads and screamed, the ears are going to explode. Li Xiu shouted excitedly, speed Mach 2.5. The skeleton is as stable as Mount Tai. The gray falcon hovered, and with a wave of its arm blade, it cut the steel beam of the workshop, Tsang. The steel beam broke like tofu, and the nano self-healing layer instantly repaired the slight damage to the blade, and the silver light flowed. But just at the moment of ecstasy, the core cabin beeped piercingly with a warning, the crystal core pulsed and rioted, and the purple-black energy scurried around like a poisonous snake, burning Xiao Yi's nerves. He groaned, his vision was blurred, the gray falcon staggered to his knees, blue flames sprayed out randomly, and the heat wave was mixed with a strange smell of ozone. Overload, it's too fast. Bai Ning's face darkened, and he knocked on the console with his staff, boy, hold back. The resonance is overloaded, and the crystal core is backlashing. Li Xiu rushed forward and hurriedly injected coolant. Hissing, white mist rose, Brother Xiao, hold on. We need more stable zero piece. The assistants' faces turned pale, and someone murmured, I almost, turned into a divine armor, but almost blew up the cabin. Xiao Yi gritted his teeth and exited the cabin, with a cold sweat on his forehead, looking at the pulsating crystal core, with a heavy heart, it's not enough. I have to find more mutant resources. Bai Ning patted him on the shoulder, the training is temporarily suspended. The Federal Academy won't wait too long, let's stabilize it first. Before he finished speaking, the sky outside the workshop shook violently. The alarm was piercing, and the monitoring screen flashed red, the Rim Star Bandit fleet has invaded. 50 battleships, locked on the mutated energy signal, heading straight for the ruins of Gezer. The ground trembled, explosions in the distance soared into the sky, artillery fire roared like thunder, and the air was filled with the stench of gunpowder and molten metal. Li Xiu's eyes widened, the bandit leader Iron Claw. They specialize in grabbing mutant mechas. Bai Ning's eyes were sharp, boy, the opportunity has come. Gray Falcon, fight. Xiao Zhixia's roar came from the communicator, Xiao Yi. The bandits are coming for you, Silver Wolf to help. No, I want to see you die. The Gray Falcon engine roared again, and everyone's faces were shocked with the blue flames. The crisis came like a tide. Xiao Yi clenched the joystick, and his eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Come on, let them see the power of mutation. The hatch of the Gray Falcon was sealed with a bang, and Xiao Yi's neural link rushed into the body like an electric snake. The pulsation of the crystal core accelerated instantly, and the purple-black vortex swirled wildly in the core cabin, releasing an icy arc of electricity that pierced his mind. Outside the workshop, the explosion flames reflected the night sky red, the gunfire from the bandit warships poured down like a torrential rain, the ground cracked and collapsed, and the stench of sand and dust mixed with scorched earth assaulted your nostrils. Li Xiu clung to the console, his face turned pale and his voice trembled, Brother Xiao. The monitoring shows that a group of 20 C-class mechas are rushing towards the entrance. Iron Claw's men are all ferocious star thieves, and their laser cannons can melt through B-class armor. The tip of Bai Ning's staff poked the ground with a clanging sound, and his eyes were like knives. Boy, are you going out to die? The Grey Falcon is not yet stable, and as soon as the crystal core is overloaded, you will become a barbecue. The communicator blasted Xiao Yi's wild laughter, and the engine roar of the silver wolf mecha came from the distance. Ha ha ha. Xiao Yi, you mutated scrap metal is finally going to explode. The bandits have locked on your crystal core signal, 20-1, kneel down and beg for mercy. The assistants in the workshop ran away with their heads in their hands, and a young scavenger knelt down with weak legs, crying, it's over, Kai Sa is going to be in ruins. How can Xiao Yi stop it alone? The ground shook violently, the steel door of the entrance burst into pieces, and 20-star thief mechas rushed in like wolves. Their heavy black and red bodies made a crunching sound as they stepped on the sand. The red light of the shoulder cannons was charging, and the lasers were spraying like nets. Heat waves were steaming, and the air was filled with the pungent smell of molten metal. The Grey Falcon burst out, its blue particle thrusters sprayed wildly, its engine roared and shattered the surrounding ruins, and its fuselage dived straight into the center of the mecha group. The first wave of laser rain poured down, and the red light intertwined into a web of death. Sparks flew across the shell of the Grey Falcon, and the alloy layer became red-hot instantly. The heat wave caused the alarm in Xiao Yi's cabin to blare. Li Xiu screamed in the communication, the right wing was shot. The propulsion tube was damaged by 30%, and the speed was reduced by half. Enemy planes surrounded him, and the leading Iron Claw deputy, a thickly armored, Blood Claw, mecha, roared its engine, and the arm cannon locked onto the core of the Grey Falcon, borderline useless, the mutated crystal core is ours. There was a boom from the muzzle, and missiles rained down like a swarm, with scorching tail flames and a deafening sound of ozone ionization. Xiao Yi gritted his teeth and roared, the nerve links were full, the Grey Falcon fuselage turned violently, the clumsy enemy plane couldn't keep up with the rhythm, the missile passed by and exploded on the ground, and the shock wave kicked up the gravel like a blade scraping the surface. However, the Grey Falcon's left arm propulsion tube leaked flames, blue particles sprayed out randomly, and the fuselage staggered. 3 enemy planes came close, and the arm blades clicked and slashed, and the blade wind roared and cut the air. Bai Ning clenched her fists in front of the rear monitoring screen and said in a hoarse voice, "Boy, if you can't hold on any longer, retreat. These beasts are a sea-level hunting formation." Xiao Yi's taunting exploded again, "Look. Grey Falcon is kneeling, Xiao Yi, your shitty luck is over." Desperation overwhelmed him, and the crystal core pulsed like a heart demon beating wildly, burning Xiao Yi's nerves. His vision went dark, and his sweat evaporated into mist. But just when Grey Falcon was about to be torn apart by the arm blade, a thought flashed, overclocking. Explode! The mutated crystal core responded with a bang, the purple-black energy field exploded, and the blue shield opened like a water curtain, buzz. The rain of missiles hit the energy field and exploded into fireballs. The fragments fell like rain, and the heat wave hit back and melted the outer shell of the enemy aircraft. Li Xiu's eyes widened, his mouth opened in an O shape, and he smashed his fist on the ground and yelled, "Energy field. The crystal core is overclocked." This blocked the entire missile salvo. The assistants stood blankly, their faces turning from pale to shocked. A chubby guy rubbed his eyes and screamed, "Impossible. Even a C-class energy cannon can't blast through, he's a useless mecha." Grey Falcon strikes back. Xiao Yi's man and machine merged into one, the fuselage pulled out an afterimage like a ghost, the particle blade hissed, stretched 5 meters, high-frequency vibrations erupted, and the nanolayer silver light flashed. He dived into the first enemy plane at high speed, and the blade cut into the propeller tube like a chainsaw. Tear! The sound of metal tearing was harsh, and the blue flames burst out. The enemy plane spun out of control and hit his companion. Boom! The 2 planes exploded, with flames rising into the sky. Debris fell like iron rain, and the smell of burnt oil filled the air. The enemy group was stunned, and the deputy of the Blood Claw shouted, "Disperse. This kid is weird." But the Grey Falcon kept on rolling and dodged through the laser net. The red light, sizzled, ionized the air, and the heat wave hit the cabin. Xiao Yi felt that his skin was burning. Just as the red glow of the beam's energy surged, an old voice came out from the shadow of the ruins at the edge of the shooting range, hoarse but full of majesty. "Stop. This kid is mine." A figure slowly walked out, an old man with white hair like frost, wearing a worn engineering robe, the corners of the robe trailing dust, and holding a bent alloy staff in his hand. Bai Ning. The legendary scavenger in the Kaisar ruins area is said to have been a senior federal engineer. He has lived in seclusion for many years and specializes in collecting waste from the Edge planet. His appearance stunned the crowd. Xiao Zhisha's eyes widened and she blurted out, "Old man Bai. Are you protecting this trash?" The enemy planes were in disarray, and the 10 siege lasers swept wildly, but the Grey Falcon glided and dodged, and the blue flames of the propeller arced and hit the third and fourth propeller tubes at high speed. Hiss, SSSSS. Both blades were swung together, the enemy flames broke, and the fuselage fell like a kite with a broken string. The explosions continued, boom, and the shock wave shook the sand and dust hundreds of meters away, and the ground melted into a glass pit. Xiao Zhisha's communication was silent for a moment, and then roared in disbelief, "Is it fake? 20 C-class planes, and he's chopping melons and vegetables. Silver Wolf's firepower can't even withstand this speed." The residents of Kaiser poked their heads from the ruins, wide-eyed, and murmured, "That blue light mecha. Xiao Yi's. Killing a group of people by yourself." The battle situation reversed. 7 Grey Falcons had been killed. 13 remaining enemies had retreated and regrouped. The Blood Claw leader finally took action, Iron Claw's exclusive, Crazy Claw, mecha, which was 2 stories high. Its arms were equipped with rotating saw blades. Its engine roared like a wild beast, locking on the Grey Falcon's core and firing missiles. Xiao Yi roared, "Come." The crystal core was overclocked to full capacity, the purple-black pulse was like the resonance of a heartbeat, and the Grey Falcon's back clicked to spread its wings, the nanoparticles were temporarily deformed, the blue energy wing membrane flashed, and the gliding accelerated to Mach 3. The missile collided with the wing and exploded. The fire wave licked the wing body, and the smell of burnt ozone was pungent. However, he dived down, the particle blade exploded at high frequency, and hit the Crazy Claw shoulder cannon. Clang! The blades and saws collided, sparks exploded like fireworks, and the shock wave made the ground dent 3 meters. The Grey Falcon's body trembled, and the nanolayer of the arm blades was slightly cracked but healed instantly. Li Xiu's eyes lit up and he shouted, "Wingspan gliding. Can't even block the saw blade of the boss mecha. Brother Xiao, this is amazing." The communication between the enemy pilots collapsed, "Boss is in danger. This mutated armor is too fast." The Crazy Claw counterattacked, the saw blade spun like a windmill, the Grey Falcon rolled to dodge, the wing blade teared across the enemy's body, cut through the propulsion tube, and released blue flames wildly. The leader roared and locked his throat and grabbed him, but the Grey Falcon's torque exploded, and its iron fist hit the cockpit. Boom! It was dented and deformed. Then, with a wave of the particle blade, all the heads were chopped off. The head of Crazy Claw rolled off, and the fuselage fell to the ground and exploded. The fireball engulfed the 5 remaining enemies around it. The fragments scattered like meteorite rain. The heat wave swept thousands of meters, and the sand melted into a lake. The Grey Falcon hovered in the air, its blue wings folded, its engine roared, and all 20 aircraft in the field were wiped out. The residents of Kaisa erupted into a tsunami. Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi is invincible. The old scavengers knelt down and kowtowed, and some burst into tears, "Savior. One person slaughters 20 sea-level people, and the federal college is going to rob them. Li Xiao rushed out of the workshop and hugged his head, ran wildly, "Brother Xiao." Perfect reversal, the integration of man and machine to the extreme. Those star thief corpses are still hot. Bai Ning walked out slowly, her frost-white beard reflecting the light of the fire, and smiled at the corner of her mouth. "Boy, you pass. The mutated crystal core is at your disposal." Locking the second one at close range, the Grey Falcon's iron arms were like pincers. Crack. Locking the cockpit, the skeleton with doubled torque exploded with force, the enemy cabin crunched and deformed, and the pilot's scream echoed through the communication, "Boss. Save. Crush." The cabin roof cracked like a watermelon, blood mist sprayed, the aircraft body collapsed and hit the ground, and the engine flames popped black smoke. Li Xiao jumped up with excitement, and his voice trembled, "Lock the throat and crush it." Brother Zhao's mobility is as flexible as a living person. Those star thieves' eyes are straight. Bai Ning rarely raised his lips and tapped the screen with his staff. "Yes, man and machine are integrated. But don't waste it, the leader hasn't moved yet." Amidst the cheers, a federal homing pigeon drone pierced the night sky and, swooshed, landed at Bai Ning's feet. The projected holographic invitation flashed golden light. "Xiao Yi, officially admitted to the reserve camp. Arrive at coordinates X47 within 72 hours. But warning, the mutated crystal core signal has been exposed, and the rebels are targeting it. Come quickly, otherwise you will perish." Bai Ning's eyes narrowed, and he crushed the projection and looked at Xiao Yi. "Boy, the road is getting more dangerous, repair the mecha and prepare to sweep across the academy." The blue flame of the Grey Falcon flickered faintly, and the bandit ship fled in a hurry. Under the night sky of Caesar, Xiao Yi wiped blood and clenched his fists, and the war flames in his eyes became more intense. The smoke from the ruins of Gezer has not yet dissipated. The remains of the Grey Falcon collapsed on the side of the molten sand pit like a wounded giant beast. The remaining flames of blue particles puffed out black smoke. The nanowing module was twisted into a charred iron bar. The cracks left by the high-frequency vibration on the arm blade were still sizzling with the smell of arc ozone. Xiao Yi wiped away the nosebleed, his chest was on fire, and the backlash of the mutated crystal core was like thousands of needles pricking his brain, but his eyes were as bright as fire, and he turned to Li Xiao and growled, "Boy, 72 hours, Federal College X47 coordinates. Grey Falcon is not if you can, dismantle the remaining parts and fuse the stabilizer." Li Xiao's eyes were as bright as stars, and his thin body rushed forward, slamming the toolbox to the ground, his voice trembling with excitement, "Brother Xiao. This time I'm officially messing with you. I have learned all the mutation fusion techniques of Old Man Bai. First, extract the remaining energy of the crystal core and connect it to the power furnace of the academy to ensure that it will be reborn as A-level." The tip of Bai Ning's staff struck the ground, and the frosty white hair was swaying in the firelight. "Well, Li Xiao joins. Xiao Yi, your backlash proves that the crystal core is the master, but the rebel hunting ship is sweeping the edge of the star field. Keep a low profile on the road, the academy is not Caesar, and the noble geniuses are everywhere." The residents of Caesar swarmed forward, holding up the remains of the Grey Falcon in their rough hands. The smell of sweat was mixed with the smell of burnt earth. Someone knelt down and stuffed fuel crystals. "Master Xiao. Take our blessing of Caesar to the academy and torture those noble dogs to death." The old scavenger said in a trembling voice with tears in his eyes. "One person slaughtered 20 C-class, we witnessed it, the legend of the divine armor." A federal transport barge landed with a rumbling, the heat wave of the engine stirred up a sandstorm, the door opened and swallowed the Grey Falcon. Xiao Yi and 3 people jumped in, and the blue flames of the hull sprayed, tearing the night sky and heading straight for X47. The stars outside the window were bright, the signals from the remaining rebel ships flickered like ghosts, and the communicator buzzed intermittently. "The mutated signal is locked. Federal Reserve Battalion, evacuate quickly." Li Xiao dismantled the fragments of the crystal core in the cabin, the purple-black energy buzzed and pulsed, and his gloves were burnt with scorch marks by the arc. He gasped, "It's as hot as lava. This residual energy can hold up to 10 standard furnaces." 72 hours later, the X-47 Academy orbital port was like a steel fortress suspended in the Milky Way. Countless mecha transport ships were circling like a swarm, and the air was filled with the pungent smell of highly concentrated fuel oil and metal lubricants. The barge docked with a creak, and Xiao Yi stepped out of the hatch. The remains of the Grey Falcon were hoisted by a robotic arm. The leg frames had been initially welded, but the wing modules were empty, attracting the attention of the surrounding freshmen. A chubby academy attendant glared and sneered with his nostrils pointing to the sky. "He's from a marginal waste star. Grey Falcon. I heard that Caesar's crap is even good for sea level. It's damaged like this, and you still want to enter the reserve camp? Go and scavenge." The freshman group snickered, their uniforms flashed with the federal emblem, and someone whispered, "I heard that he slaughtered the star thieves, but the academy starts at B level, and the losers will be eliminated within a month." Suddenly, the roar of the engine shook the entire orbital port, and a silver-gray behemoth landed, Xiao Yi's Silver Wolf Mecha. The B-class is top-notch in mass production, with 4 laser cannons on its shoulders, buzzing, to store energy, hydraulic legs on its legs as thick as a war elephant, and a cold light flashing in the wolf head cockpit. Xiao Yi jumped out of the cabin, his aristocratic uniform was rimmed with gold, his face turned livid and he smiled sinisterly. "Xiao Yi. It was just luck at Caesar's. What is 20 sea level? Watch out, the Academy's firepower is on display." His nerve link was connected instantly, the Silver Wolf engine, boom dash, exploded, blue and white particle tail flames were 10 meters long, and he dived into the test driving field. The freshmen retreated, their eyes widened. Master Qiao takes action. Silver Wolf's quadruple artillery cannon melts 10 D-levels in one round. Silver Wolf hovered at high speed, its shoulder cannon bursting with red light, bang, 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 bang. The laser beam poured down like laser rain, and the steel target at the test drive range sizzled and melted into iron juice. The sour smell of steam mixed with molten metal filled the entire place. Xiao Yi laughed wildly in the communication. "This is called firepower. Xiao Yi, where is your mutated scrap iron? Dare you challenge? On the first day of the preparation camp, I will make you kneel." The attendants applauded and shouted, "Xiao Tian Kai. The noble blood is invincible." A female recruit he blushed and screamed, "Silver Wolf is so handsome, and as maneuverable as the king of wolves." Xiao Yi clenched his fists, his nosebleeds and old injuries ached faintly, the remains of the Grey Falcon hung beside him like a laughing stock. Li Xiao gritted his teeth and whispered, "Brother Xiao, be patient. Upgrade the laboratory first." Bai Ning's staff knocked on the bulkhead and snorted coldly, "Boys, follow me. Borrow a room in the college laboratory." The 3 of them escorted the Grey Falcon into the underground experimental tower. The steel door sealed with a bang, the gravity-free elevator buzzed and dropped 100 meters, and the air turned into a cold metallic smell. The lights in the laboratory were dazzling, and the walls were covered with power furnace modules and nanoprinters. Li Xiao's eyes shone, and he rushed to the console, college standard furnace. High-purity helium-3 crystal, fused with the remaining energy of the crystal core, the Grey Falcon has been directly promoted to the A-class frame. He opened the Grey Falcon's core cabin, and the purple-black crystal core pulsed like a living creature, dong-dong, and the backfire arc hit the instrument with a pop, and the tip of the staff was white. Stabilizer was injected, blue light penetrated, suppressed the pulsation, fusion ratio is 3:7. Hydraulic sprint system of the legs, inject high-pressure nitrogen pipes, the explosive force is doubled, shoulder cannons are upgraded to magnetic rail missiles, electromagnetic acceleration Mach 5. Li Xiao's hands were shaking like a sieve, and the sweat evaporated into mist. "Master, this, mutant energy is obedient. Nano self-healing is accelerated by 30%, and Grey Falcon is reborn." During the upgrade, an alarm sounded, invasion signal. The rebel spy drone is approaching the orbital port. A black shadow flashed on the screen, and a red dot locked on the mutated crystal core. Xiao Yi's eyes flashed, exposed. But the fusion was completed, ding. The core of the Grey Falcon woke up with a bang, a blue-purple halo exploded, the hydraulic legs of the legs stretched, click, as thick as a steel column, the shoulder gun barrel rotated, buzzing, to accumulate magnetism, and the engine hummed and shook the floor. The freshman monitor stared through the glass and murmured, a borderline useless mecha. The hydraulic pressure in its legs is like an S-class prototype. Shoulder gun rails. The Academy only develops test products. Xiao Yi's communication broke into, humph, just pretending. The preparatory camp training network is waiting for you. The high-pressure training started immediately, and the simulated battle network enveloped the training cabin like a virtual star field. Xiao Yi jumped into the Grey Falcon, and the neural links sizzled like electricity flowing through the body. In an instant, the man and machine merged, the crystal core pulsated in synchronization with the heartbeat, and the body was as smooth as an extended limb. The opponent's 5 new D-class mechas pounced, their clumsy engines booming and spraying randomly, and their arm cannons firing lasers whooshing, but the hydraulic pressure of the Grey Falcon's legs exploded with a bang, the virtual sand and dust on the ground exploded, and the speed pulled out the afterimage, and hit the first one. Crack! The iron fist locked the throat, doubled the torque and crushed the cockpit, and virtual fragments popped like rain. The screams echoed in the freshman's cockpit, too fast. His legs, hydraulic sprinting is like a ghost. The second shoulder cannon locked, and the Huai shoulder cannon buzzed, the magnetic rail missile exploded electromagnetically, and the silver-white warhead burst out at Mach 5. Bang, pierced the enemy's breastplate, and the explosion and implosion tore the body into iron velvet. The virtual bulkhead was red with fire, and the smell of burnt circuits filled the air. The third and fourth planes double-teamed, and the laser nets intertwined, but the Grey Falcon glided and dodged, the blue particles propelled whooshing arcs, man and machine combined to predict each red light, the leg sprinted twice and jumped into the air with a boom, and the shoulder cannon fired 2 rounds in a row. Bang bang! The 2 enemies evaporated into fireballs, and the shock wave made the glass of the training cabin buzz and tremble. The 5th plane retreated in panic, and the pilot's communication collapsed. Monster. A-class frame. Where did this kind of thing come from in the reserve camp? The Grey Falcon dived, the particle blade stretched at high frequency and cut through the propulsion tube with a hiss, and the blue flame broke and fell. After 5 kills and clearing the field, the whole network was silent for 3 seconds, and then exploded, borderline useless butchered 5 D-class people. The hydraulic leg rushed to kill people in seconds, and the railgun penetrated armor like paper. The freshmen watching the battle turned pale, and some people sat down with their legs limp. We have been practicing for half a year and can't withstand 1 round. The other person and the machine are one, smooth as if alive. But the aftertaste of victory lingered. The Grey Falcon knelt down with a boom, the nanolayer on its wings collapsed, the arm blades overheated and deformed, the core cabin's DD warning flashed wildly, the crystal core pulsated and rioted, and the purple-black energy backfired like a needle pricking the nerves. Xiao Yi staggered to the cabin, blood dripping from his nostrils, and gasped, "The damage is serious, the wing module is burned out, and the propulsion pipe leaks 30%. Li Xiu rushed to check, his face darkened. Overclocking is expensive, the stabilizer must be upgraded. Xiao Yi's communication rang again, this time his voice trembled like a candle in the wind. You win this time. But Federal College, wait and see." As the audience cheered, Xiao Yi's silver wolf came roaring again. The cockpit opened, his face twisted like a ghost, and the aristocratic badge flashed, Xiao Yi. The internal competition in the reserve camp will start in 3 days. In the B-level duel, I, the Silver Wolf, dismantled your Grey Falcon with my own hands. The mutated crystal cores all belong to my Xiao family. The freshman gasped, Master Xiao declares war. Internal competition, noble genius versus borderline loser. Luo Li Hong lips raised, he turned and walked towards Xiao Yi with a silky voice, interesting. I, Luo Li, also want to see your divine armor. The alarm of the orbital port in the distance sounded again, the shadow of the rebel hunting ship was approaching, and the college's broadcast was cold, the mutation signal is confirmed, all reserve battalions are on alert. Xiao Yi, your parts have caused a cosmic storm. The gray falcon shoulder cannon whistled, the crystal core pulse accelerated, Xiao Yi clenched his fists, and the galactic war flames were blazing in his eyes. The cheers at the training ground surged like a tidal wave, but ended abruptly amidst the low roar of Xiao Zhixia's Silver Wolf engine. The red-hot afterglow of the quadruple gun barrels on the shoulder of the B-class behemoth was distorted by the heat wave, emitting the pungent smell of ionized ozone. Whispers among the freshmen were like insects. Someone leaned against the wall with his legs weak and his face was pale. He murmured, Master Xiao personally declared war. In the internal competition, the loser is dead. Another fat attendant wiped his sweat and his voice trembled, Silver Wolf melted the steel target with one shot, and the Grey Falcon can't withstand B-level firepower no matter how good it is. Li Xiu clenched his fists, his thin face flushed, and he gritted his teeth and growled, Brother Xiao, those noble dogs are blind. 3 days later, they tortured blow them up. The tip of Bai Ning's staff tapped the ground, the clang echoed, his frosty white hair and beard were like steel wires under the light, and he glanced at Xiao Zhixia coldly, boy, it's useless to talk harshly. The rules of the internal competition group are single. No choice. Xiao Yi wiped away the bloodshot corners of his lips. The smell of rust in his nose was strong, and the backlash was like a burning pain. But his eyes were like star blades, staring at the twisted and sinisterly smiling aristocratic face in the Silver Wolf cockpit, and his fists slowly unclenched. Just when the atmosphere in the entire venue was as frozen as ice, the orbital port alarm, woo-woo, echoed harshly, and the red light swept across the dome of the training ground, the beautiful figure finally moved. Luo Li's long hair flowed like a waterfall of ink, her tight-fitting battle suit covered her fiery curves, and her red lips were slightly hooked. The pink wind spirit mecha stood quietly behind her, its slender blades were folded like phoenix wings, and its engine hummed like a woman's whisper. Her steps were light but thunderous, and the heel of her boots hit the metal floor with a crisp click, and she walked straight towards Xiao Yi. The freshmen around her gave way automatically, and someone whispered with wide eyes, Goddess Luo Li. Top 10 pilots in the academy, why is she looking for a loser? Luo Li stopped 3 steps away from Xiao Yi, with a fragrant wind mixed with the light fragrance of engine oil, her beautiful eyes locked on his sweaty face, and her voice was silky but smooth. Hidden edge, Xiao Yi, I could feel the mutated pulse of the Grey Falcon through the bulkhead. The moment when man and machine became one, it was as smooth as the breathing of a living creature. Xiao Zhixia's Silver Wolf. Just as heavy as a cow. She turned her eyes to glance at the Silver Wolf, and curled her red lips contemptuously. The freshman gasped, Goddess dis Mr. Xiao. Wind Spirit is the agile champion, and she actually recognizes the fringe kid. Xiao Yi's eyebrows were raised slightly. The pain from the nosebleed and old injury was still lingering, and the backlash ran down his spine like electricity. But his voice was calm, Luo Li. Li Huang. No, rumors of Fengling's flanking sniper attack are all over the academy. Want to see the divine armor? Let's try together. Li Xiu's eyes were as bright as a wolf's. Slapped his thigh with his thin hand, girls join us. Brother Xiao will be the main attacker, Fengling will assist in shooting, and the 2 machines will work together to abuse the simulation network. Bai Ning's staff hit Luo Li's shoulder armor, and said with a loud voice, well, the rebel hunting ship is approaching, and the reserve camp's alert has been upgraded. Luo Li, you are very agile. I have a visa for the prototype of the nano-wing blade cutting S-class shield. Follow me, the team will practice first. Luo Li's eyes flashed, and her red lips raised with fighting intent. Okay. Fengling has been with me for 3 years, but you're Grey Falcon. I'm curious about that. Crystal Core Aftermath. She turned around and jumped into the wind spirit cockpit. The door hissed and sealed, and the pink mecha wing blades unfolded with a buzzing sound. The engine hummed softly like the roar of the wind, and the afterimage was drawn with a light glide. Compared with the thick steel pillars of the Grey Falcon's legs, it looked like a butterfly dancing steel beast. The training cabin was activated again, and the simulated battle network was upgraded to 10 sea-level enemy formations. The virtual star field swallowed the whole place like a black hole, the particle storm whistled towards the face, and the air was filled with the burnt smell of electromagnetic interference. Grey Falcon and Fengling jumped in side by side, Xiao Yi's nerve link buzzed like a lightning strike, man and machine merged for a moment, the crystal core pulsed, dong-dong, in sync with the heartbeat, the hydraulic legs of the legs were as thick as war pillars accumulating pressure, and the shoulder cannon's magnetic track hummed low. Li Xiu frantically typed data on the extravehicular monitoring platform. The frequency of the 2 aircraft is synchronized. The Grey Falcon is the main attack, and the Wind Spirit is sniping from the side. The enemy formation pounced, 10 C-class clumsy engines, booming, and spraying randomly, the arm cannon laser net pouring down like fire rain, and the heat wave evaporated the smell of molten metal. The freshman watching group stared, and someone screamed, 10 sea-level siege. The freshman team is dead, no matter how flexible Fengling is, it can't withstand the firepower. Xiao Yi sneered in the silver wolf cabin in the distance and monitored, joining forces is useless. Look at my spy data. The Grey Falcon was the first to rush forward. The hydraulic pressure in its legs went bang, like a cannonball. The virtual gravel on the ground exploded with a bang bang. The afterimage hit the center of the enemy formation at high speed. The first C-class arm blade blocked but broke with a click. The Grey Falcon iron fist, the torque doubled and the throat was locked, the cockpit was crushed and fragments flew everywhere, the blue particle blade stretched at high frequency and hissed to cut through the second propulsion tube, the blue flame broke and fell, the explosion flames reflected the bulkhead red, and the smell of burnt circuits filled the entire network. The Wind Spirit swept past, Luo Li operated as if the Wind Spirit was possessed, the nano-wing blade buzzed and arced, the pink afterimage dodged the laser rain, the shoulder sniper cannon fired continuously, accurately piercing the weak point of the third shield, and the energy blast evaporated it into iron juice. The face of the new student watching the battle was pale, and the fat attendant sat down with weak legs. The Grey Falcon tore through 3 in one attack. Wind Spirit Sniper, 0 error, the gods cooperated. Another female freshman held her head and screamed, Goddess Luo Li and the loser joined forces, and the enemy cabin pilot's communication collapsed. The two machines were in tacit agreement like arms and fingers. The Grey Falcon's main attack tore apart the enemy formation, the hydraulic leg's secondary explosion, boom, leaped into the air, the shoulder cannon's rail missile, buzzed, with an electromagnetic explosion, Mach 5 silver bullets pierced 4 or 5 6 breastplates, the implosion fireball chain, bang bang bang, devoured half of the front line. The nano self-healing accelerated the repair of laser abrasions, and the blue-violet halo pulsed like a heart. Fengling's flank sniper hit, the wing blade rotated and cut the 7th frame's legs with a squeak break. The electromagnetic pulse was ready to charge. Luo Li's communication smiled sweetly, Xiao Yi, your pulse has been transmitted. Fengling's blood is boiling. The 8th and 9th frame double-teamed, the laser beams were intertwined like a net, but the Grey Falcon particles pushed, whispering, to arc and dodge, man and machine combined to predict each red light. Fengling dived and pulse gun test fired, Zila, the blue grid paralyzed the shield, and the Grey Falcon iron fist followed up and killed instantly. The 10th plane collapsed and retreated, and the pilot's communication trembled, monster team. The Grey Falcon is as thick as a mountain, and the Wind Spirit is ghostly and invisible. The Grey Falcon's shoulder cannon ended with a round, bang. All clear. On the sidelines of the test drive, a beautiful figure stood quietly, Luo Li, a beautiful driver with long hair like a waterfall, slightly pursed red lips, tight-fitting battle suit that outlined hot curves, and a flash of light in her eyes. She touched the hatch of her pink mecha Li Huang and whispered, "This operation. Xiao Yi from Caesar. I can feel the mutated pulse of the Grey Falcon. It is 10 times more flexible than Xiao Zhisha's Silver Wolf." The training hatch opened with a bang. Xiao Yi jumped out, sweat was steaming but his eyes were boiling with fighting spirit. Li Xiu rushed up and held his head and yelled, "Brother Xiao. Simulated Network S review." Those freshmen's eyes fell to the ground. Bai Ning nodded, "I have adapted. But the real thing has just begun." The three of them escorted Feng Ling into the laboratory, with Bai Ning's staff blocking the door, and the smell of cold metal hit their faces. Li Xiu's thin hands flew, dismantling the fragments of the crystal core, and the purple-black energy buzzed into the Feng Ling shoulder module. His gloves burned with scorch marks, and he gasped, "Hot like lava." The fusion ratio is 3 to 7, and the pulse gun is formed. The electromagnetic network paralyzes the enemy's shield within a 50-meter range. The Feng Ling shoulder cannon, ding, awakened, and the blue arc fired, pop, and the shield collapsed when it hit the test target. Luo Li jumped into the cabin to test the connection, the neural link synchronized instantaneously, and the wind spirit wing blades trembled slightly. Mutated pulsation, the integration of man and machine is more powerful. Bai Ning nodded, "Okay. But the rebels are hunting close by. Xiao Yi, you go to the restricted area to explore the mutant mineral veins, and I will hold the line." Night fell in the restricted area of the college, and Xiao Yi walked alone into the abandoned mine tunnel. The air was humid and rotten with the smell of sulfur. The flashlight buzzed across the broken walls and ruins. Suddenly, there was a dong sound and he stepped on a foreign object, a purple-black mineral vein fragment. Pulsating like a heartbeat, mutated energy buzzed into his arm, and the dull pain returned. He gritted his teeth and pried out 3 pieces, sweating like rain, invisible coating, nanorefraction fusion. Preliminary experiment, smearing the legs of the Grey Falcon, the blue-violet halo disappeared, and the test laser swept over without a shadow. The freshman patrolling in the distance whispered, "Is there a ghost in the restricted area? Mutated mine. A forbidden area for nobles." Xiao Yi quietly returned, hiding the fragments of the mineral vein, and the foreshadowing was hidden. The laboratory was brightly lit, and the three of them warmed up in tacit understanding. Li Xiu wiped his sweat and smiled, "Brother Xiao, Sister Luo, the team is invincible." Luo Li leaned on Xiao Yi's shoulder, the fragrance lingering in his nose, "Your eyes are like commanding the galaxy." But Xiao knew that Xia's spies had sneaked into the data network and stole the crystal core fusion diagram. The communication smiled sinisterly, "The data is in hand. In the group stage of the competition, Xiao Yi will fight against my team for the first time, a 5B level siege." The alarm sounded again, and the college broadcast was cold. The internal competition is ahead of schedule, and a group melee broke out. Team Xiao Yi versus Xiao Zhisha team, the real battle begins outside the orbital port. The rebel hunting ships invade simultaneously, mutate parts, and detonate the cosmic storm. The Grey Falcon engine, boom, wakes up, the wind spirit wing blade unfolds, Xiao Yi clenches his fist, and the war flames burn in his eyes. Li Xiu roared, "Blow the noble dogs." Luo Li's red lips smiled, "Join hands and tear them apart." In the distance, the engines of the Silver Wolf's 5-machine squad were blaring, and the laser cannons were charged with red light soaring into the sky. The crisis was like a tide, and the blood of the team was boiling. Outside the orbital port, the night sky was pouring like ink, the protective dome of the X-47 Academy hummed low, and the red warning lights swept across the metal deck, reflecting the huge silhouettes of 6 mechas. Led by Silver Wolf, the engines of the 5 B-class heavy mechas roared in unison. Blue flames were sprayed from the exhaust ports. The heat wave distorted the air and emitted the pungent smell of hydrogen and oxygen combustion. Xiao Yi's cabin screen flickered to steal data, the quadruple gun barrels on the silver wolf's shoulders rotated slowly, and the red-hot muzzle locked onto the gray falcon like a beast's pupils. He smiled sinisterly and broadcast the full-frequency communication, Xiao Yi, a borderline loser. The internal competition group melee is about to begin. Your Gray Falcon S++ simulation. I'm a 5B level fire network, and I'll melt you in one round. They are like slag. The freshmen around them retreated with pale faces. 5B level enemies are attacking the two planes. No matter how good the Gray Falcon wind spirit is, they can't withstand the chain of laser rains. Xiao's noble team is invincible. The fat attendant wiped his sweat and said with a trembling voice, the rebel hunting ship is still approaching, double desperation, doomed. The Gray Falcon's thick steel pillar legs crunched firmly on the deck, and the blue amethyst core pulsed, dong-dong, in sync with Xiao Yi's heartbeat. The backlash was like a needle pricking his nose, but his neural link sizzled, and the man and machine became one in an instant. The nanorefractive coating was activated, and the edges of the fuselage were faintly blurred like ghosts. The pink wing blades of the wind spirit quivered slightly, the red lips in the Luo Li cabin were pursed tightly, the beautiful eyes flashed with war flames, the electromagnetic pulse gun buzzed and charged, and the engine hummed like a phoenix roar. Li Xiu banged on the panel of the surveillance vehicle at the rear, his thin face flushed and he yelled, Brother Xiao, Sister Luo. The energy distribution is 3:7, the Gray Falcon mainly carries the firepower, and the wind spirit side sniper interferes. The mutated mineral veins are turned on invisibly, and the leg hydraulic preset pressure 150%. The tip of Bai Ning's staff tapped the ground, and the sound echoed, and his cold eyes swept over the Silver Wolf team. Boys, the rebel signal interference has been locked, focus on overclocking the Gray Falcon core, and resist the backlash. The battle alarm woo blared harshly, the dome particle shield pop opened, and the real melee started. The Silver Wolf was the first to charge forward, firing boom, boom, boom with its quadruple cannons. The red-hot laser beam cracked the night sky like a whip of fire. The heat wave evaporated and the smell of molten metal hit your nostrils. The 5B level squad followed up and fired their arm cannons. The laser network intertwined into a cage, blocking the Gray Falcon wind spirit's retreat. The first round of firepower poured out, and the Gray Falcon's hydraulic legs, bang, forced it forward. 3 laser beams grazed the shoulder armor and sizzled to melt out charred grooves. The nano self-healing, buzzing, blue light surged to repair, but the backlash was like fire burning the internal organs. Xiao Yi gritted his teeth and roared, and the smell of blood was strong in the cabin. Fengling dodged with the wings, Luo Li operated like a butterfly, arcing her wing blades to avoid 2 beams, but a B-class heavy artillery hit the tail with a bang, the pink carapace cracked, and the electromagnetic pulse test failed. She gasped and communicated, Xiao Yi, the firepower is too dense. It takes 3 seconds to recharge the pulse. The freshman watching the battle screamed, and the fat attendant slid down with his head in his arms. Gray Falcon carries 3 cannons. The shoulder armor is melted. Wind Spirit split wings, the 2 planes can't survive the second round. Another female freshman had a pale face and a trembling voice, Xiao Silver Wolf B-level top, quadruple steel. The fringe team is desperate, the rebels are coming, and the college is about to fall. Xiao Yi laughed wildly in the cabin, and the Silver Wolf laser sword buzzed and stretched high-frequent blade light, approaching Gray Falcon at high speed. Wait, I stole the data. Crystal core pulsation. I'll cut your core with my sword. The Silver Wolf sword slashed with a hiss, and sparks exploded like fireworks. The Gray Falcon's particle blades met with a loud clang, and the torque was doubled. The iron fist collided. The 2 machines collided with each other at high speed and shook the deck with a bang. Debris splashed everywhere, and the engine exhaust was filled with the smell of ionized ozone. Gray Falcon took half a step back, and the invisible coating on his legs failed to reveal traces. The backlash intensified, Xiao Yi's vision was blurred, and the nosebleed dripped from the panel and clicked. The 5B level team took advantage of the opportunity to double-team, locking throats with arm blades and firing sideways fire. The laser rain swished like a torrential downpour. The iron arm of a B-level heavy mecha smashed into Feng Ling. Luo Li's wing blades rotated to block the squeaking, sparks flying around, and the fuselage shook. Shaking, she cursed, "Damn, the pulse is only a moment away." The Grey Falcon blocked 3 machines alone, and the particle-propelled Whisper dodged, but was hit in the shoulder. Bang! The railgun barrel twisted and deformed, and the data from Li Xiu's monitoring station flashed red alert, and the thin hand Fei Wu roared, "Brother Xiao. The shoulder cannon is damaged by 30%, and there is a risk of energy overload. Sister Luo, step back and let me adjust the frequency." The atmosphere in the room was stagnant, and the freshman gasped. Someone murmured, 2 aircraft were crushed. The Grey Falcon is too heavy to carry, Feng Ling's flexibility is also sealed. Master Qiao is sure to win, and the mutated parts belong to him. Xiao Zhixia's sword struck again, and the silver wolf's leg was suppressed with a boom, and the communication taunted, "Kneel down, edge bug. I will crush you like an ant." In a moment of despair, the war flames in Xiao Yi's eyes surged, and the backlash pain turned into fuel. The crystal core dong 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 overclocked and pulsated like thunder, and the ultimate integration of man and machine emerged. The Grey Falcon's blue-purple halo flourished, and the nanorefraction restarted to completely disappear. The fuselage buzzed like a ghost and escaped from the pressure of the sword. The arm armor mutated and elongated and wrapped around the silver wolf's legs. The hydraulic torque burst out and twisted the enemy's propulsion tube with a crunch. Blue flames broke and spewed out, and the smell of burnt circuits hit the face. Xiao Zhixia's face changed suddenly in the cabin, and the noble badge trembled. "What? The arm armor is alive? Invisibility, impossible." At the same moment, Luo Li's pulse gun buzz pop. The blue power grid burst into a 50-meter range, and the 5B level shields, ZZ, collectively collapsed, and the wing blades the leg of the dive-cutting machine broke with a click, and the pink afterimage flashed 3 times in a row. The enemy cabin pilot's communication collapsed and screamed, "Electromagnetic paralysis. The wind spirit ghost, the shield is gone." Li Xiu wrapped in ecstasy, synchronization. Grey Falcon energy diversion shoulder cannon, Mach 5 charging. The Grey Falcon burst invisible, leaping into the air with a second bang-bang of hydraulic pressure on its legs like a cannonball. The particle blade stretched at high frequency and hissed to tear open 2 B-level breastplates. The imploding fireball, bang-bang, swallowed up the fragments. Nano self-healing accelerated to repair the melt marks. The blue particles advanced and arced to dodge the remaining lasers. Feng Ling's side sniper hit, and electromagnetic pulse bursts paralyzed the enemy's advance. Luo Lijiao communicated with a smile, "Xiao Yi, your overclocking has come. Feng Ling is boiling." Silver Wolf broke free from its arms and blasted with 4 cannons, but Grey Falcon combined man and machine to predict every red light, and the shoulder cannon's magnetic track buzzed, the electromagnetic explosion, and the silver bullet Mach 5 penetrated the weakness of Silver Wolf's core shield. Hitting the engine compartment, boom, chain explosions burst into the sky, Silver Wolf's legs were broken, crash, and debris rained down. Xiao Zhixia's cabin screamed with alarms, her face was livid and blood spurted out, "Damn it. Retire. Team cover." The remnants of level 5B collapsed, Grey Falcon Iron Fist followed up and killed 2 of them instantly, Wind Spirit Wing Blade harvested the last one, and the audience was silent for 3 seconds. Then, the explosion cheered like a tsunami, Grey Falcon reversed. Invisible overclocking to torture the Silver Wolf. All 5B levels were wiped out, S+++ divine comment. The freshman's eyes were as wide as copper bells, and someone knelt down to worship and screamed, "Borderline genius." When the arm armor wrapped around the leg, it broke the B-level advancement. Mr. Xiao exploded and retired, college history. The fat attendant burst into tears, and his voice trembled. Wind spirit pulse paralyzed the entire team, and the Grey Falcon shoulder cannon hit the core. The team is invincible, man and machine are like a beast god. The female freshman hugged her shoulders and worshipped. Goddess Luo Li's eyes, Xiao Yi's declaration is coming. Xiao Yi Xia Yinlang's cabin door hissed open, he staggered out, his noble robe was burnt, and stared. Xiao Yi, the mutant mineral vein is invisible, I remember it. But his eyes flashed with sinisterness, and he quietly activated the secret frequency of his watch. Rebels, meet at the border of the college, and the coordinates of the mutant crystal core will be sent to you. Federal dog, die. Xiao Yi jumped out of the Grey Falcon, sweat and blood mixed with steam, and the smell of rust in his nose was still there, but he clenched his fists high and his voice thundered through the whole Hong Kong. New students in the reserve camp. Grey Falcon wind spirit proves that even the edge can lead the galaxy. In the top 8 of the internal competition, we will destroy all nobles and rebels. Man-Machine becomes one, invincible upgrade. The whole place was boiling, and the freshmen roared in agreement. Li Xiu rushed forward and hugged him wildly. Brother Xiao declares explosion. Sister Luo, the wind spirit is 0 damage, the overclocking is perfect. Luo Li approached, the scent of fragrance lingered in her nose, her beautiful eyes were brilliant. Your Grey Falcon is the interstellar beast soul. The team will never be defeated. Bai Ning's staff knocked on the deck, frost whiskers slightly raised, okay. The group has been promoted, but the signal of the rebel hunting ship has locked the border of the academy, a true invasion. Before he finished speaking, the orbital port alarm was upgraded to the highest level. The starry sky outside the dome was torn with red light, the rebel fleet was approaching like a ghost, the laser main gun was charging and roaring, and the particle storm was hitting the face with the smell of mutated energy and ozone. The broadcast echoed coldly. 5 rebel hunter-killer ships broke through the defense line and went straight to the restricted area of the mutated mineral vein. All the reserve battalions, attack. Xiao Yixia's figure in the distance disappeared into the shadows, and she smiled sinisterly in the secret communication. Rebels, the crystal core is mine. Xiao Yi, you are done. The Grey Falcon engine roared to life again, the wind spirit wing blades unfolded, Xiao Yi's eyes locked on the starry sky like a blade, the crisis was surging like a tidal wave, and his bloodline fighting spirit burned the sky. Outside the dome of the orbital port, the starry sky was like a torn curtain of blood. 5 rebel hunting ships were approaching with a low roar. Their jets of blue particle engines distorted the night sky, emitting a pungent smell of corrosive mutated fuel, like the breath of death. The belly hatch of the main ship, Bloodthorn, creaked open, and 20 D-class rebel mechas rushed out like locusts. The gray-black broken carapace reflected the red warning light, and the arm cannon fired a volley. The laser beam hit the college's protective shield like a heavy rain, sparks bursting out, the particle shield cracked, and the smell of molten metal was assailed by the heat wave. The freshmen's viewing platform screamed. Some people held their heads and backed away, their legs slipped. Their voices trembled like candles in the wind. Rebel D-class group. 20 of them. The hunter ship's main gun is charging, and the outer edge of the academy is about to fall. The Grey Falcon wind spirit has just finished the internal competition, and the fuel is overloaded. It can't handle it. The fat attendant's face was sallow, and beads of sweat rolled down and hit the ground with a click, muttering, 5 ships are linked, the coordinates of the mutant mineral veins are exposed. Our reserve camp is completely destroyed. Xiao Yi jumped back to the cockpit of the Grey Falcon. The rust and blood in his nose were still there, and the backlash was as painful as thousands of needles pricking his heart. He gritted his teeth and tightened the nerve link. Zila flashed, and the integration of man and machine appeared again. However, the shoulder cannon was distorted and crunched. The nano self-healing blue light flickered faintly, and the repair was as slow as a death struggle. The Grey Falcon engine boomed. To wake up, the blue amethyst core pulsed, dong dong, as dull as a death knell. The leg hydraulic preload was 150%, but there was a faint oil leakage, and the smell of lubricant filled the cabin. Luo Li Fengling's pink wing blades buzzed. Although the cracks in the tail were repaired, the energy from the electromagnetic pulse gun was unstable. Her red lips trembled slightly in the cabin, and her beautiful eyes flashed with a hint of worry. She whispered in the communication, "Xiao Yi, the rebel D-class is scum, but their numbers are suppressed. Fengling is sniping the main ship, you Grey Falcon breaks in, be careful of the fire net." Li Xiu's monitoring vehicle panel flashed a red alarm, and his face was distorted and roared. Said, "Brother Xiao. The Grey Falcon's shoulder cannon is 45% damaged, and the mutant mineral vein invisible coating has overheated and failed. Only 60% of the fuel is left, and overclocking will backfire and explode." The tip of Bai Ning's staff tapped the deck with a clang, his frosty eyes locked on the starry sky, and said coldly, "Boy, the mutated energy of the rebel hunting ship interferes with the nerve links, hold it back. That bitch Xiao Zhixia was secretly eavesdropping just now, hold him back." Xiao Zhixia's figure jumped out from the shadows, the broken body of the silver wolf dragged along with broken legs and fragments, and the noble robes were scorched and mottled. He staggered closer to the team, forcing a false smile on his face, and his voice was hoarse but feminine, "Xiao Yi. You won the inner game, the rebels are coming fiercely. Although the silver wolf is damaged, my team will join forces to torture the rebel dogs and share the mutant crystal cores." Some of the freshmen around them whispered suspiciously, "Young Master Qiao has just had his leg removed by Grey Falcon, and now he is licking it. Facing cooperation." But more people grabbed the life-saving straw in despair, and the fat attendant wiped his sweat and agreed, "Yes, the top noble B-level, working together may block." Xiao Yi's eyes swept over Xiao Zhixia like a blade, and his fist made a crunching sound, but the crisis was overwhelming, and he responded in a low voice, "Okay, Silver Wolf is backing up the formation. But if you dare to hold back, I will blow your head off." Xiao Zhixia nodded with a dark smile, her watch flashed quietly, and the communication whispered to the rebels, "Delay for 5 minutes, the coordinates of the crystal core are accurate, the main gun of the Blood Thorn is focused on the Grey Falcon." The Academy's radio was blaring, and the mechas from the reserve camp issued an emergency attack order. The Grey Falcon Wind Spirit's iron feet smashed the deck with a bang bang, and rushed out of the dome first. The blue particle propelled, whooshing, and arced to meet the enemy. 10 C-class freshman mechas followed behind, and the chaotic roar of the engines was mixed with panic gasps. The rebel D-class group rushed like a pack of wolves. The gray-black mecha's arm blade stretched out and buzzed at a high frequency. The artillery fire poured out with a boom boom boom. The laser network blocked the orbit of the starry sky. The first salvo hit the Grey Falcon. The heat beam grazed the leg armor and melted into deep grooves. The nanocoating failed and exposed the charred black steel bones. The backlash burned the 5 internal organs. Xiao Yi's vision was red and blurred, and nosebleeds splashed on the panel. Roared, "Stealth restart. Leg pressure 200%. The Grey Falcon's blue-purple halo flashed slightly, and the edges of the fuselage were blurred and ghostly, but the mutation interfered with the Zila garbled code, and only half of the body was invisible. 3 D-class iron fists hit it with a bang 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 sound. The Grey Falcon took 3 steps back. The arm armor was mutated and stretched out to try to wrap it, but it was broken by gunfire. The fragments flew away with a crash, and the smell of ionized ozone was strong and pungent. Luo Li Fengling dived with high flexibility on her flanks, her pink wing blades rotated, buzzing, and arced to dodge the laser rain. Her electromagnetic pulse gun charged up for a pop test fire. The blue power grid paralyzed a D-level push, but the main ship Bloodthorn's laser secondary cannon bombed back, and the new crack in the tail clicked. She gasped for communication. The shield of the command ship is thick, and the pulse cannot penetrate. The D-class group is too dense, and the sniper position is blocked. Li Xiu's surveillance vehicle followed suit, flying with his thin hands to dismantle spare parts, and shouted, "Luo may retreat. Brother Xiao, hold on, I will weld the anti-gravity module on site." Grey Falcon's maneuverability plus 50%, but it needs to be broken 10 seconds of lightning. The freshman C-class mecha followed up awkwardly, but was outflanked by 2 D-class mechas. The explosive fireballs engulfed the remaining bodies. The driver's communication collapsed and screamed, the rebel mutated blade cut steel like mud. "Help!" The freshman watching the battle looked pale, and some people knelt down. The ground murmured, 20 D-class troops are pressing forward, the hunter ship's main gun is buzzing and fully charged. Grey Falcon's arm is broken and its legs are melted, Wind Spirit is blocked from sniping, and all the new cannon fodder are wiped out. The team is going to die, and the mutated crystal core is handed over to the rebels. The fat attendant held his head and trembled. Xiao Yinlang is not moving behind the scenes. Delay, conspiracy. Xiao Zhisha's silver wolf's remnant body slowly moved forward, and the 4 gun barrels buzzed to pretend to be charging, but in fact, the watch flashed wildly. Bloodthorn, Grey Falcon rushed in, focusing on the core of fire. The crystal core was obtained in 5 minutes. The rebel D-class group took advantage of the situation and pounced, 8 iron-armed Grey Falcons, and the grey flames of the thrusters collided with each other with a bang. The Grey Falcon's torque doubled, and the Iron Fist counterattacked with a crunch to twist off the 2 propulsion tubes. The blue flame broke and spurted out a burning smell, but the shoulder cannon finally exploded. Bang! The magnetic track was twisted and completely stuck. Only a section of the mutated arm armor was left to twitch. The backlash broke out in Xiao Yi's cabin. His internal organs roared like colic, and blood streaks spilled from the corners of his mouth. Feng Ling tried to snipe from the side, but was surrounded by 4 D-level wings. The wing blades blocked, clang, sparks flying, and the electromagnetic gun missed. Luo Li cursed, energy interference. Pulse failure. The Bloodthorn's main gun buzzed, the red light was fully charged and locked, and the particle storm was ready to go. The air in the whole place was stagnant like death, and the heat wave was steaming, sweat and blood were mixed with the smell. Bai Ning knocked on the communication emergency message with her staff behind her, and the sound of frost penetrated the chaos. Xiao Yi. The mutated parts are not natural, but the legacy of ancient interstellar wars. They were scattered when the alien empire collapsed. The crystal core contains the remnant soul of the empire's AI, and the backlash is a fusion trial. Overload it, and the Grey Falcon awakens. After finishing his words, Li Xiu roared, "Welding is complete. The backlash is a fusion trial. The gravity module is online, and the Grey Falcon is powered off and restarted. 3, 2, 1. The energy of the Grey Falcon snapped, and the fuselage fell. The D-class group cheered and smashed down the Iron Fist, but the anti-gravity field buzzed, and the Grey Falcon bounced like a ghost. The blue amethyst core, dong dong dong, the Empire pulsed and thundered, and the ultimate integration of man and machine emerged. The nanocoating is fully hidden and restarts, the leg hydraulic cannon jumps into the air with a bang bang, the particle blade stretches at a high frequency and cuts into the 4 D-class thrusters, the grey flame breaks and explodes with a bang, and the rain of fragments mixed with the smell of burnt flesh and blood splashes everywhere. Xiao Zhisha's face suddenly changed in the cabin, and the noble's eyes narrowed. Anti-gravity. Imperial legacy, impossible. The freshman gasped, and the fat attendant murmured with round eyes, "The Grey Falcon awakens. It cuts like paper, and the D-class propulsion is completely cut off, reversed." Feng Ling took advantage of the situation and fired a burst of pulses. The blue grid paralyzed the 3D level shield. Luo Li's wing blade dived to reap the harvest. The pink afterimage tore open the breastplate and imploded like lightning. Jiao Xiao communicated, "Xiao Yi, anti-gravity transmission. Feng Ling is boiling, sniping. Bloodthorn." The Grey Falcon stealthily charged towards the main ship, its arms wrapped around a D-class twisting core and, crunched. The blue particles propelled Mach 5 arc flash fire and hit the Bloodthorn's secondary gun. The particle blade penetrated the weak point of the shield. Bang! Chain explosions burst into the sky. Li Xiao's slim face was ecstatic, energy diversion. The wind spirit pulse penetrates the shield, and the main gun interrupts the energy storage. The rebel command communication collapsed, Federal Divine Armor. The D-class is completely paralyzed, retreat. The Bloodthorn's main gun, buzzed, was interrupted, the fleet retreated in despair, and the remaining D-class collapsed. But the price was heavy. Grey Falcon's shoulders and arms were severely damaged. Overload cracks in the crystal core loomed, and the backlash was like a collapsed tide. Blood spurted out in Xiao Yi's cabin and the panel collapsed, making the field of view black. Li Xiao rushed to monitor, Brother Xiao. The mecha is 65% damaged. The crystal core empire is awakened but dormant and needs to be repaired. Luo Li Foamling landed, her beautiful eyes approached anxiously, Xiao Yi, hold on. The freshman cheered a tsunami, Grey Falcon Empire Legacy. Cutting D-class like slaughtering chickens, anti-gravity ghosts torment the fleet. The fat attendant burst into tears and knelt down, Team God. Mr. Qiao's face is green, the rebel dog has escaped. Xiao Zhixia Silver Wolf retreated into the shadow, eyes flashing like poisonous snakes, and retreated quietly. The network was silent for 5 seconds, and then exploded with cheers, Double Machine S++ review. 10 sea level 2 rounds of evaporation. The freshman's eyes were as round as copper bells, and some people knelt down and worshipped, borderline useless plus goddess, the cooperation is amazing. Master Qiao's Silver Wolf can't stand it alone. Xiao Zhixia's face was livid in the cabin, and she punched the panel with a bang, and the aristocratic badge trembled, impossible, send a spy, steal their crystal core data. Xiao Yi jumped out, sweat mixed with blood, Luo Li's beautiful eyes flashed, your Grey Falcon is not a mecha, it's a beast soul. Li Xiao rushed to hug the two of them, sister, can the crystal core be upgraded? The electromagnetic pulse gun can defeat the shield. The cheers in the dome surged like a tidal wave, and the roars of the freshmen were mixed with tears and fanaticism. The fat attendant knelt down and pointed at the remains of the Grey Falcon with trembling hands. His voice was choked with sobs, as if he had seen a miracle, the Grey Falcon, it made that anti-gravity leap just now, the D-class thrusters were all broken. The debris rained down, and the smell of burnt meat hit my nose, Brother Xiao Yi is a god. The faces of the surrounding students turned from deathly gray to flushed. Some people cried while holding their fists in the air, the rebels are invincible. Escaped, the higher-up summoned, Xiao Yi wanted to be named commander. But the black edges in Xiao Yi's cabin spread, and the backlash was like a million insects eating his heart. He forced the panel, and blood foam fell from the corner of his lips and hit the neural linker with a slap. The smell of rust filled his nose and brain. Xiao Zhixia's sinister smile flashed across the sea, fake cooperation, delaying the concentration of fire, the aristocratic dog still won't give up. There was a creaking sound with his fist, and he murmured, can't fall, the cracks in the crystal core are throbbing, the Empire's legacy, there are more. The college security mecha buzzed with its iron feet, crushing the wreckage and approaching. The infrared scan locked Xiao Zhixia. Sparks sizzled from the legs of the Silver Wolf's remains. His aristocratic face was pale and distorted. His watch was shattered and there were intermittent messages. He staggered back and shouted, misunderstanding. Senior management, the Silver Wolf Palace is holding back, the evidence is a false accusation. The high-level communication sneered, the wrist frequency record is locked, the rebel Bloodthorn's delay order is clear, Xiao Zhixia, the noble privileges are suspended, and they are escorted into the interrogation cabin. The security arm claws grabbed the Silver Wolf shoulder armor, Xiao Zhixia his pupils burst with bloodshot eyes, staring at Xiao Yi viciously, boy, this hatred, the family will not let go. When he was dragged away, the freshmen around him gasped, and someone whispered and trembled, the nobles colluded with the rebels. The top silver wolf B-level is actually a mole. Xiao Yi's team saved the academy, Mr. Qiao is finished. Luo Li Fengling's cabin door hissed, she bit her red lips, glanced at Xiao Yi, and jumped down quickly. Her pink shirt was wet with sweat, and her nose was mixed with sweat. Xiao Yi, you are bleeding, and you have collapsed. Li Xiu's surveillance vehicle rushed towards him, his thin face distorted and he shouted, Brother Xiao, insist. The Grey Falcon crystal core pulses at 0.3 Hz. The Imperial AI test is not completed. It is in dormant repair but overload cracks have spread. His thin hands flew to dismantle the spare cabin, the welding gun flashed with a blue arc, and the smell of ozone was strong. The tip of Bai Ning's staff tapped the ground, his frosty eyes locked on Xiao Yi, and he said coldly, Boy, get up. The senior management of the war situation room is waiting. Although the rebel hunting ships have retreated, the encirclement has tightened, and the college's material warehouse has been exposed, helium-3 fuel and mutated mineral vein fragments, all of which are bait. Xiao Zhixia is exposed as a small fish, and the aristocratic conspiracy is deep. Xiao Yi gritted his teeth and stood up, his internal organs cramping like a knife. He weighed in his mind, the summons from the top management was an opportunity, and he would be willing to exchange his credit for resources, but if the crystal core cracked, the Grey Falcon would be scrapped and the team would be dead. The psychological game is like a flash of lightning, believe in the top management. Or repair the machine first. Let's go to the situation room. He said in a low voice, and the Grey Falcon followed with a bang of iron feet, and the nano-blue light weakly licked the wound. Under the dome of the war room, the projected star map flashed blood red, and 50 D-class cruisers of the rebels surrounded the X-47 orbital port in an arc. The particle interference network hummed to block communications. The top general's face was as iron as lead, and his voice was like thunder. Team Xiao Yi, attack the 5 ships of the Blood Thorn R20D, a myth. However, the coordinates of the underground mines of the college have been leaked, and the rebel main ship group is gathering momentum. The material depot is under command to break out, helium-3 and mutated fragments, and are escorted to the inner ring fortress. During the interrogation of Xiao Zhixia, the evidence of the noble's linkage comes to light. You lead the team. The new student representative stared, and the fat attendant wiped his sweat and murmured, 50 patrols broke out. The Grey Falcon was seriously damaged by 65%, the wind spirit was broken, suicide. Li Xiu's face turned pale and he punched the panel, General, give me the key to the laboratory. The Empire is awakening, integrating new mineral veins, Grey Falcon is replacing the S-class. Bai Ningzhang knocked on the star map and coldly snorted, Boy, the 3 underground levels are restricted areas, the ancient Empire Heritage Library, I will lead the way, there is a risk of 9 deaths, but after the overload test, the Falcon God was born. Xiao Yi's eyes are like daggers, and his mind is at war with heaven and man, fused with mutated mineral veins, the AI's residual soul will bite back or swallow his nerves, and become crazy. But don't upgrade, break out cannon fodder. He roared, action. The team rushed into the elevator with, bang bang, the gunfire roared faintly outside the dome, the heat wave penetrated into the elevator, and the smell of sweat and blood filled the air. In the underground laboratory on the 3rd floor, the cold metal wall hummed to suppress the sound of the air pump, the tip of the white condensate stick penetrated the lock cylinder with a click, the hatch opened with a creak, blue and purple mineral vein fragments piled up like a mountain, the imperial runes pulsed like a heartbeat, the stench of corrosive mutations hit the face, and the air was distorted like an illusion. Li Xiuxian's hands trembled as he removed the Grey Falcon's shoulder armor and danced wildly with the welding gun. Brother Xiao, the cracks in the crystal core are expanded by 30%, the double veins are connected, the resonance engine, Mach 10 thrust. But the backlash peaks, the visceral explosion rate is 80%. Luo Li's beautiful eyes were anxious, and the wing blade was dismantled in the wind spirit cabin. I synchronize, the electromagnetic gun melts the photon shield, and the plasma whip spare parts are welded. Xiao Yi, don't be brave. The fusion began, and Xiao Yi's neural link Zila pierced into the back of his head. The backlash came back like a tide, and blood-red cracks spread in his field of vision. The Empire AI whispered in his mind, fusion. Trial. The core of the Grey Falcon woke up with a boom, and the twin crystal cores bit each other. Crack, sparks splashed everywhere, nanoliquid, Gudu, was injected into the veins, the blue-violet halo surged and swallowed up the remaining arm, the shoulder cannon's magnetic track was reconstructed and rotated, buzzingly, the plasma whip stretched out from the arm and sizzled, the high-frequency whip shadow tried to whip, and the air tore apart the ozone and exploded. Li Xiu's face turned sallow, beads of sweat hit the panel, and his voice trembled, the resonance rate is 150%, overload. Brother Zhao's heart rate is 240, and the nerves are burning. Bai Ningxuang narrowed her eyes slightly, pressed her staff on Xiao Yi's shoulder, endure. The AI's remnant soul recognizes its master, the limit of human-machine integration. Luo Li bit her red lips and bleated, her beautiful eyes filled with tears. Hold on, the wind spirit photon shield is online, synchronized AI aiming, and adaptively locks on the enemy in 0.01 seconds. At the peak of fusion, the Grey Falcon's body crunched and twisted like a living thing, the crystal core, dong dong dong, thundered, and the smell of molten metal inside was pungent. Xiao Yi roared, and blood sprayed on the panel, but he was mentally bitten. Sacrifice for the divine armor, the team will not die. Success. Li Xiu roared, his face slimmed down in ecstasy and burst into tears, and the Grey Falcon was reborn as an S-class falcon god. The blue-purple carapace is as thick as a mountain, the dual-crystal nuclear resonance engine roars and shakes the ground, the plasma whip with a length of 10 meters long and the tail of the plasma dances with a sizzling sound, the photon shield unfolds, buzz, blue film is indestructible, the adaptive AI panel flashes green lock, Falcon God, the Imperial Heritage, 99% fusion rate, man-machine integration S+++. Luo Li's wind spirit sublimated at the same time, the pink wing blades fused with photons and buzzed, the electromagnetic gun turned into a pulse firecracker, and the beautiful eyes lit up, it's boiling. The team's armor. The fat attendant's eyes widened, and the communication collapsed, Falcon God. The double crystal core pulses like a star heart, and the whip shadow cuts steel like paper, against the sky. At the breakout order, the supply cabin creaked open, the helium-3 box buzzed and levitated to follow, the rebel encirclement particle net, sizzling, pressed in, 50 cruiser D-class mechas swarmed like locusts, gray-black arm cannons boomed and rained down lasers, and heat beams hit the dome and popped molten trenches. Li Xiu shouted from the back of the surveillance vehicle, street fighting mode. The Falcon God opens the way, and the wind spirit flanks. Xiao Yi jumped into the Falcon God cabin, and the man and machine became one like electric current melting blood. The engine boomed and sprayed out blue and purple flames at Mach 5. The particle net brushed past the photon shield and buzzed without damage. The rebel pilot's communication screamed, God armor whip shadow. The shield is adaptively locked, and the advancement is cut off, help. Luo Li's wind spirit wing blades whirled and dived, the pulse firecrackers popped and paralyzed the 5D level shields, and the pink afterimage reaped the legs and swallowed them with fireballs. The street fighting was fierce. The heavy iron feet of the Falcon bang bang crushed the track debris, the anti-gravity plus resonance leaped into the air and whistled, the AI aimed to lock 10 enemies in 0.01 seconds, the plasma whip whipped in groups with a hissing sound, and the whip-tail plasma penetrated the thruster and the gray flame broke and exploded with a boom, destroying 12D levels like slaughtering chickens. The new Guard C-class mecha followed up, wide-eyed and trembling, Falcon God kills 10 with one whip. The photon shield blocks the main gun, the blue flame is immortal. Xiao Yi is invincible. Li Xiu repaired the welding gun while fighting, and shouted thinly, energy diversion, wind spirit firecrackers penetrate the cruiser's weak point. But the crisis came again, Xiao Zhixia Noble the team burst out of the shadows, and the 5 B-class enhanced wolf mechas stretched out their arm blades and hissed. He, the silver wolf, repaired his legs and faked his death. He smiled viciously in the cabin, Xiao Yi. The family's black market parts, the wolf soul mutation, prevent you from breaking through. The wolf pack's iron fist hit, bang bang, and the laser net blocked the supply cabin. Xiao Yi sneered mentally, expose the noble dog and crush him. The falcon god's whip shadow whipped back and hissed, the AI adaptively choked the silver wolf, and the plasma whip tail wrapped around the legs and sizzled and melted. Xiao Yixia's face was green and distorted in the cabin, and her roar collapsed, impossible. S-level. The family B-plus wolf soul broke its legs again and again. The shields of the surrounding wolves shattered, and the photon firecrackers fired, snap. Luo Li harvested 3 of them with side snipers. Contempt, the aristocratic trash, colluding with the rebels and dare to show up. The freshmen cheered like a tsunami, Xiao Xiao's wolf soul whip is melted. Falcon god tortures B-class like a dog, the noble status is exposed. Xiao Yixia's wolf pack collapsed, he staggered to escape, and his watch broke a message asking for help. In the dome, the college's high-level communications buzzed, and a stern voice resounded, Xiao Yi's team, summon the situation room immediately. Monitor and capture evidence of Noble's wristband collusion with the rebels, Xiao Yixia, take it. Xiao Yixia's figure froze, the Noble's faces turned pale, and the surrounding freshmen glared. He gritted his teeth and cursed, damn, exposed. The crisis retreated temporarily, but an undercurrent surged. Grey Falcon's blue light pulsed and whispered, and the secret of the Empire's legacy was quietly unfolding. In the supply cabin of the inner ring fortress, the helium-3 fuel tank hummed and floated, the fragments of blue-purple mutated mineral veins piled up like cold mountains, and the air was filled with the smell of ozone from the residual heat of the welding torch and the rusty smell of blood and sweat. The freshman guards formed an iron barrel formation, their faces as white as paper. Some of them were kneeling with weak legs. The fat attendant pointed at the projection of the frost crystal map and shouted in a trembling voice, "Rebel mothership. Bloodthorn throne. That monster is 1,000 meters long, and 1 round of the naval gun melts the cruiser. The remains of Master Bai Ning's staff, the map hook is clearly a trap, Xiao brother Yi, this is a death wish." The high-ranking general's iron face twisted. The rebel mothership on the projected star map pulsed like a black hole. The particle defense network flashed, ZZ, to block the X-47 orbit. The hero team, Falcon God's myth shook the academy, but the S-class Ace aircraft group was entrenched deep in the mothership, and Xiao Yixia's noble dog escaped. Call for help, the conspiracy is locked, retreat. The federal reinforcements will arrive in 3 hours. Li Xiu's face was sallow, his fist smashed into pieces of Mars, and his voice was hoarse. Master kidnapped the authentic runes of the map, the coordinates of the ultimate mutation parts. Brother Xiao, is it not enough to merge the Grey Falcon S+++? The guest firewall is on the 9th floor, and the intrusion paralysis rate is less than 1%. Luo Li's beautiful eyes were bloodshot, her pink shirt was wet with sweat, and her nose was filled with the smell of sweat and tar. She gritted her teeth and held the spare parts of the wind spirit wing blade. Master Bai Ning is afraid, use the stick to fuse to save us, no matter how poisonous the rebel noble's hook is, Xiao Yi will be killed. Xiao Yi clenched his fist, and the falcon god's blue and purple carapace roared, boom, outside the cabin. The twin crystal cores pulsated like a heartbeat. A scene of white frosty eyes pressing on his shoulders flashed in his mind, with backlash and pain in his internal organs like fire, and black spots spread around the edges of his vision. Psychological battle between heaven and man, mothership trap, S-class ace whip blade cannon blast, the team is completely wiped out. But the Master's last picture is the ultimate legacy of the Empire. If we don't save it, the Falcon God will never be able to survive. The top generals snorted, the freshmen gasped, and someone whispered, Caesar's savior can't hold the throne, the particle network is melting to the bone. Xiao Yi's eyes were like blades, and he roared, "Sneak in." Luo Li Xiao, hackers invaded the firewall simultaneously. I, the Falcon God, opened the way to tear up the network. Noble dog Xiao Zhixia, the conspiracy is complete, dig. The team rushed out of the fortress with a bang, and the embers of the X-47 orbital port were roaring in the night. The freshmen knelt down and yelled, "Falcon God is invincible. Save the master, kill the mothership." The fat attendant burst into tears and held his head. The myth continues. But the throne's gun is as thick as a mountain, and it's dead. The Falcon God's engine boomed and sprayed out blue and purple flames. Mach 10 thrust tore through the night sky, anti-gravity leaped into the air and whistled into the particle net. The nano-blue light licked the carapace and sizzled to heal itself. Xiao Yi's human-machine integration was like electric current melting blood. The AI panel's green lock predicted the trajectory in 0.01 seconds, and the photon shield buzzed and unfolded its blue film, indestructible. The rebel particle network Zila rained down lasers, the heat beam smashed into the shield and melted no ravines, and the ozone blast was pungent. Luo Li Funling's pink afterimage followed up from the flank, and pulse firecrackers popped to paralyze the mesh. Li Xiu's monitoring car hacker needle penetrated the Falcon God's rear chain and clicked, and his thin fingers flew around. The code stream, the first layer of firewall, quantum encryption, is broken. Particle network blind zone 5 seconds, charge. The giant shadow of the mothership Bloodthorn throne loomed over her. The 1,000-meter-long steel body crunched and suppressed the sound of the air pump like a giant beast panting. The naval gun was as thick as a Falcon God's arm and boomed as it charged up with red light. The patrolling D-class mecha locusts swarmed, and the gray-black arm cannon boomed and locked. "Ace machine out," screamed the rebel communications, and the belly compartment of the mothership squeaked out 3 S-class Bloodthorn aces, the spiny beast. The thick carapace covered with mutated thorns retracted with a click. The giant gun arm was 20 meters long and the plasma energy gathered, buzzed, and roared. The gray and red jets of the engine flame tail turned awkwardly, and compared to the Falcon God, it was as smooth as a ghost. In the Ace's cockpit, the rough man's face was twisted and grinning, borderline useless. "Hayabusa D-class remnant, the thorn cannon will melt you." The cannons blasted in unison, boom, the plasma beam was as thick as a bucket and hit, and the heat wave evaporated the air and the smell of burnt meat hit your nostrils. Xiao Yi sneered mentally, "Stupid thief." The Hayabusa whip shadow throws out a sizzling, 10-meter plasma whip dance. AI adaptively locks the mouth of the giant cannon, the whip blade wraps around the molten metal, and the plasma backfires and implodes. The Ace driver stared wide-eyed and shouted, "Whip around the gun barrel." The shield heals, impossible. The photon shield blocked the aftermath of the naval gun and the blue membrane trembled without damage. Li Xiuxian shouted, "Invade the 3rd floor, the defense network is paralyzed by 50%. Luo Li, pulse firecrackers clear the patrol." Luo Li's wind spirit wing blades whirled and swooped, and the pink photon blade cut steel like paper with a click, 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 harvesting 8D levels, and his beautiful eyes burned with fighting spirit, boiling. God Falcon whips S level, Team God. The thorny giant beast counterattacked, its thorny arms stretched out and whipped, the gray-red plasma tail sweeping Falcon God's shoulder armor, bang, and sparks exploded, and the self-healing blue-purple halo of the nanofluid, Gudu, surged. Xiao Yi overclocked man and machine into one, the dual crystal core accelerated with thunderous boom boom boom, the engine boomed and flashed sideways at Mach 5, the whip shadow whipped back and hissed continuously, penetrated an Ace's breastplate and boomed, the core exploded, and the driver's charred corpse rushed into the cabin with a stinky smell. The surrounding patrol aircraft fleet collapsed, and the rebel communications screamed in fear. The Falcon God's whip blade wrapped around the giant cannon and exploded. S-class aces killed one after another, and the particle network was blind. Invasion alarm. Li Xiu burst into tears with ecstasy, the 5th floor is broken. The mothership control center explodes. Lu, master by Ning's deep cabin coordinates are locked. Monitoring from the far end of the fortress, the new student's eyes widened, and the fat attendant knelt down, whipped the gun. The photon shield blocked the bombardment of the 1,000-meter beast. Brother Xiao Yi slaughtered the S-class like a dog, and the divine armor defied the sky. The blast hole in the deep cabin, bang, and heat waves rolled in, the falcon god's iron feet broke in, bang bang, the blood-red warning light blinked dazzlingly, and the stench of corrosion and mutation filled the air like poisonous mist. The upgraded version of Xiao Yi Silver Wolf emerged, Wolf Soul B++ black market mutation, the plasma weld marks on the legs were welded with thorn patches, the arm blade stretched out and hissed for 15 meters, the wolf eyes were locked with red light, and the nobles in the cabin had green faces and twisted smiles. Xiao Yi. Fragments of the family's black market empire, Wolf Soul overclocked S-. The nobles controlled the rebels to steal mutant technology, and the top federal dog by them all, overthrow the Federation and dominate the galaxy. You, the Falcon God's twin crystal cores, will fuse with you. The rebel engineering slaves around him stared wide-eyed and trembled. Master Qiao exposed the conspiracy of the nobles. Is the Bloodthorn throne sold to the nobles? Bai Ning's chains were tied to the iron frame, his frosty eyes were cold, and he whispered to the ground, "Boy, the ultimate secret skill." The duel broke out, the wolf soul arm blade slashed wildly and hissed, the laser net blocked the falcon god's retreat. Xiao Zhixia roared, "The family will not let go, melt my legs with the whip. Overclocking will tear your core apart." The falcon god's photon shield buzzed, blocked the blade and bang bang, sparks flew everywhere, the blue film was not damaged. Xiao Yi's psychological death bite, noble dog, step on them all. The dual crystal core is overclocked and pulsating by 300%, man-machine is integrated to the limit of S+++, the vision is blood red and AI predicts, the engine flame tail sprays blue and purple wildly to teleport at Mach 8, the whip shadow group whips, hissing, arc light dances, the winding wolf soul arm blade, sizzling, melts. The plasma whip tail pierces the shoulder armor and tears the thorns with a click. Xiao Zhixia's face turned pale and contorted in the cabin, and her voice collapsed and screamed, overclocking. Whip blade adaptive lock core, family B++ wolf soul lost its arm. Conspiracy, no. The falcon god's iron fist smashed into the wolf soul's breastplate with a bang, the nanoclaw dug into the wolf soul's breastplate with a squeak, the core crystal shattered into sparks, the wolf soul exploded with a boom, and the gray flame swallowed up the wolf soul. The rebel engineering slave knelt down and trembled, the inner ghosts of the nobles are all exposed. The falcon god overclocked and tore S-like paper. Li Xiu's hacker needle clicked to paralyze the mothership's defense network, and Luo Li Funling's pulse firecrackers clicked to clear away the remaining enemies. Her beautiful eyes worshipped with tears, Xiao Yi, invincible. The white chain broke with a click, and her frosty eyes locked Xiao Yi. Cold voice, boy, hold back. The ultimate fusion secret skill, the coordinates of the black hole ruins, the parts of the imperial armor of the core of the universe, the twin crystal cores evolve infinitely, but the backlash swallows the soul, 9 deaths. The tip of her staff stabbed the core of the god of Falcon, Zila, to inject frost crystal data, the blue-violet halo surged, buzzing, and the nano-carapace was as thick as a star core pulsing. The mothership's alarm, woo-woo, crashed, and the Federal Reinforcement Fleet boomed to tear up the particle net and rushed in. The general's communication trembled, Falcon God slaughter the throne. Noble Qiao conspired to lock it down, Master Bai Ning rescued. Heroic Commander, Galaxy Legend. The team's iron feet evacuated with a bang bang, the blue and purple flames of the Falcon God streaked the night sky, and a new projection of the frost crystal map flashed, the remains of the black hole at the core of the universe, the parts of the ultimate divine armor pulsating like the dong-dong of the heart, and the undercurrent abyss awaits exploration. Xiao Yi clenched his fist, and his mind exploded, the noble rebels were all trampled, the imperial armor, swept across the universe. A tsunami of cheers arose for the new fortress, and the fat attendant burst into tears and roared. Falcon God singled out the wolf soul to overclock and explode the core. Master Bai Ning has returned, the conspiracy has been shattered. The black hole ruins, brother Xiao Yi leads the galaxy. Li Xiu's thin face was ecstatically dancing with the welding gun, and Luo Li's beautiful eyes were side by side, with undying passion. The fortress hatch closed with a bang, and the pulsating blue light of the helium-3 fuel tank illuminated the team's iron face. The stench of burnt corpses and the residual heat of the welding torch mixed in the air to form a poisonous rust mist. The new guard roared like a surging tsunami, and the fat attendant knelt down, holding his head with blurred eyes and howling hoarsely. Falcon God slaughters the throne. Xiao Noble's dog's scorched corpse explodes, and the conspiracy is locked. Brother Xiao Yi, the coordinates of the black hole ruins flash, the divine armor is invincible to rule the galaxy. The projection of the top generals trembled, their iron faces twisted into worship arcs, and the rough communication echoed, "Team of heroes, the Federation owes you a lifetime." The mothership is paralyzed, and the evidence of the nobles is reported to the headquarters. But the black hole ruins. The core of the universe swallows everything, and reflects devouring 9 deaths. Master Bai Ning's secret technique has been injected into the sky, and the Falcon God's blue and purple sky has changed. Be careful. Li Xiu touched the frost crystal projection with his fingers, and the stream of code flowed wildly. Sweat rolled down his sallow face, and his voice was hoarse and trembling. Brother Xiao, dual crystal cores. The frost crystal fusion rate is 99.9%, but the black hole energy field and the nanocarapace will melt. According to the formula simulation, the probability of backlash and swallowing souls is 87%, and the vision of the internal organs will be forever black. The moment the master's staff stabbed, Hayabusa's heart was pounding as if it was going to explode. Luo Li's pink shirt was wet with sweat, and her nose was filled with fragrant sweat and blood. Her beautiful eyes were locked in the soft light of Xiao Yi, and her beautiful eyes were hidden in worry. The spare parts of the wind spirit wing blade were humming. She bit her lip and whispered, "The Falcon God overclocked to tear the wolf soul, the team God." But the black hole abyss, the parts of the Imperial armor pulsated like living creatures, the remnants of Qiao's party are still lingering, and the high-level reinforcements are coming for 3 hours. The expedition is risky. Bai Ningxuan looked at everyone coldly, banging the remaining staff on the ground, and the sound was like an ice blade cutting. The boy endured the backlash, and survived a narrow escape to prepare for the ultimate. The black hole ruins are not traps, but the source of the Empire's cosmic overlord's carapace. Massive mutant mineral veins pile up like a galaxy, absorbing black hole energy, black hole absorbers, infinite regeneration, multiform weapons. Falcon God transforms into Ishan, sweeping across the galaxy. But on the way, the remnants of the Qiao family will be ambushed, and the nobles and black market rebels will launch a general attack on the capital. Xiao Yi's fists creaked, and the pain in his internal organs was like the bite of thousands of ants. The black spots in his vision spread and his mind roared. Master Li Xiulua has mastered the secret skills, and the Falcon God is pulsing. Expedition. Master Li Baining, the fortress is full of fuel. The coordinates of the black hole are locked, the remnants of Qiao are slaughtered, the Imperial armor is obtained, and the overlord of the universe kneels down. The new student gasped, and someone's legs softened and muttered, "The black hole swallows the soul." The myth of the Falcon God continues. But the backlash is black, dead. The fat attendant burst into tears and hugged his legs. Brother Xiao Yi is iron-blooded, and the S++ remnants are like wolves. The Falcon God's blue and purple carapace, as thick as a star core, buzzed, and pulsated. The extravehicular engine warmed up and roared, shaking the steel frame of the fortress. The team's iron feet boarded the cabin with a bang bang. Anti-gravity jumped into the sky and sprayed blue flames to tear into the night, and the Mach 15 thrust, whistled, towards the outer ring of the X-47 orbit. Li Xiu monitored the rear end of the chain lock, and the hacker needle, clicked, to scan the frost crystal formula, and shouted, "Fusion simulation starts." The frost crystal rate of the dual crystal core skyrockets, and the prototype of the black hole extractor is generated. But the energy tide simulation has a 99% chance of melting the carapace. Luo Li Fengling's pink afterimage flanked her, her beautiful eyes were bloodshot with fighting spirit, and the pulse firecrackers popped to warm up. Bai Ning was sitting in the passenger cabin, her frosty eyes staring at the coordinates of the projected abyss. The vortex of the black hole, gulu gulu, swallowed up the light, and the corrosive odor rushed into the cabin. Xiao Yi merged man and machine, his vision was blood red and merged with AI, and his internal organs were burning and painful like lava. He gritted his teeth, suppressed the backlash, and the falcon god's self-healing nanometer, Gudu, is running. Master, the details of the formula. The ruins of the black hole are approaching. The undercurrent abyss at the core of the universe is like a giant mouth of a giant beast, booming and pumping air, fragments of mutated mineral veins, dinging, hitting the shield, sparks flying, radiation fog, sizzling, corroding the carapace, ozone blasting and pungent. The high-level remote communication trembled. Hero, the ruins energy field is SS level, the federal probes are all destroyed, retreat. Li Xiu's face turned pale, and he punched the panel with a pop. Mars, the formula collapsed. The black hole tide backlashed, the falcon god's crystal core dong dong overloaded, and the fusion was stalled. Luo Li's beautiful eyes were horrified, and the wind spirit wing blades rotated in preparation, energy swallowing. The falcon god's carapace sizzles, melt marks. Bai Ning coldly snorted the staff and pestle, boy, bite to death. 3 steps of secret skills: absorb the energy of the black hole singularity and inject the double crystal core, regenerate the armor and weave the nano black hole network, infinite self-healing. The weapon has multiple forms, the whip blade turns into a giant cannon, the claw hook turns into a vortex blade, endure. Xiao Yi's mental collapse, the vision is completely black, the internal organs are shattered, the falcon god's engine roars, and the ore fragments rain down on the concave armor. But the imperial armor pulses and calls, and the iron blood explodes. The falcon god's iron feet boomed as he stepped into the core of the ruins. The black hole singularity buzzed and the blue-black vortex surged. The energy tide was like a tsunami licking the carapace and, sizzling, molten metal droplets splashed, causing a corrosive and sour odor to hit the cabin. Li Xiu screamed, the crystal core melted by 60%. The formula reorganization failed. Luo Li Fengling's pulse cannon snapped to clear the fragments, her beautiful eyes filled with tears. Xiao Yi, hold on. Bai Ningxuang's eyes locked, and the projection of the tip of the staff injected the remaining data, absorbed Kai. Singularity energy lock. Xiao Yi overclocked man-machine integration S++++ limit, bloodline like electric current burning, roar, fusion. The twin crystal cores, bang bang bang, thunder absorb the black hole's blue and black light beams, hiss, as thick as an arm tube and pour in, the nano carapace, gulu gulu, reweaves the black hole network veins, the thick star core surges twice, the blue-purple turns to ink black and the gold edge, buzz, infinite regeneration demonstration, the melting marks are healed instantly and, nourishes, the halo explosion. The ink flames at the tail of the engine spurt wildly at Mach 20 to warm up, and the multiform weapons, click-click, transform, the plasma whip extends the giant cannon arm, and the claw hook spins the vortex blade. Li Xiu's eyes widened like copper bells, the welding gun fell to the ground with a pop, and his voice collapsed and trembled, Ishan is born. The black hole absorber operates at 100%, the infinite regeneration module adapts to the AI sublimation, the multiform weapon S+++++, the backlash is cleared, and the falcon god is transformed. Become the overlord of the universe. Luo Li Fengling's beautiful eyes burst into tears with admiration, and her pink lips trembled, Xiao Yi. Ishan is as thick as a planet, a miracle of man and machine becoming one. My heart is melted with you. Her shirt was slightly open, her nose was filled with fragrant sweat, and her fighting spirit boiled in the soft light. Bai Ningxuang's eyes were rare and soft, and the remaining staff banged against the bilge, and sneered, boy, narrow escape. Ishin swept the galaxy, the massive mineral veins absorbed the full load, and the helium-3 mutant fuel overflowed. The far-end projection of the new student collapsed and cheered, and the fat attendant knelt down and licked the screen. Ishin's black-gold armor pulsates. The black hole surrenders, brother Xiao Yi, the God King. The battle simulation cabin is opened, the core of the ruins of the boom station of Ishin's virtual projection is opened, the black hole tide simulation is fully opened, and the phantom of the main armor of the universe hegemon spits out, the rebel legend, Ba Tian Huang, the 1,000-meter steel-bodied thorn cannon, buzzes, to charge, the S++++ energy field is overwhelming. The virtual pilot smiles ferociously, borderline useless. The Ba Tian Emperor's ship cannon melts the planet. The energy beam is as thick as a mountain and, boom, hits, and the heat wave evaporates into the air and the stinky smell of burnt meat pre-explodes. Xiao Yi sneered mentally, kneel down. The Ishin black hole absorber, Golu, absorbs the energy beam and Zila, reverses, the infinitely regenerated carapace is thick and immovable, the gold-rimmed halo skyrockets, the multi-shaped weapon transforms into a giant cannon arm and, booms, the anti-ink jet black vortex cannon, and penetrates the tyrant emperor's breastplate with a click, and the core shatters. The claw-hook vortex blade throws out, hissing, tearing wings, and the whip blades dance around the giant cannon in self-destruct with, pop-bang, internal devouring. Li Xiu monitors and yells, simulated crushing. The Emperor Ba Tian's shield evaporates, the core explosion rate is 100%, and Ishin is intact. The divine armor is against the sky. Luo Li's beautiful eyes are mist, and the wind spirit is virtually side by side, and the pulse whip assists in harvesting the remaining limbs, invincible side by side. Xiao Yi, my heartbeat is at the same frequency as your engine. Bai Ning's staff knocked on the projection and coldly snorted, qualified. The veins are fully loaded, return. The ink flames whistled across the sky on the return track, and an ambush by Qiao Zhixia's remnant party broke out. 5 of the family's black market S++ wolf soul fleet sprang out, and the grey-red thorn arm blades hissed to seal the road. The leading noble's face was green and twisted in the cockpit, and he screamed with a ferocious smile, Xiao Yi. Xiao Xiao's wolf soul explodes, and the family takes revenge. The wolf soul fleet is overclocked S++, the black market empire fragments are fused, and the black hole ore is robbed. The energy network is sizzling, and the laser rain is pouring, and the naval gun is as thick as Ishin's leg, bang bang, locking, and the ozone heat wave is rolling. The high-ranking general at the far end of the fortress turned pale, the remnant party is 5S++, the hero team, is in danger. Li Xiu shouted at the hacker, invade their firewall, lock the wolf soul's weak point. Luo Li Fengling's pink whirlwind swooped, the wing blades, buzzed, and cut into the legs of the 2 aircraft and, clicked, to cripple them, her beautiful eyes said with fighting intent, clear the road. The Ishin engine roared and flashed at Mach 20. The integration of man and machine was like black lightning. Xiao Yi's vision was clear and spotless, and he growled, noble dog, step on it. The energy of the black hole absorber's naval gun beam, Golu, skyrocketed, infinite regeneration blocked the lasers, buzz, golden light without being damaged, the multi-shaped whip blade turned into a vortex claw and was thrown out with a hiss, and penetrated the leader's wolf soul shoulder armor with a crunch to dig out the core. The noble's eyes bulged in the cockpit, his face turned from green to white and then purple, and his voice collapsed from a ferocious smile to a despairing howl, Ishin. Black hole sucks cannon. Infinite regeneration without damage. Master Qiao's conspiracy has been exposed, our family has bribed the rebels, revenge, regret it. Spare me, Xiao Shen. The whip blade wrapped around the barrel of the gun and exploded with a pop, the wolf soul exploded with a bang, the grey flames swallowed it up, and the charred corpses were scattered in the rain and blood mist. The remaining 4 collapsed and fled, and the Ishin's giant cannon arm bombed the black whirlpool. 3 were killed and 1 was crippled. The driver of the broken frame knelt down and communicated tremblingly, Ishin God King. The Wolf Soul fleet was reduced to dust, the family surrendered. The general attack on the capital was cancelled. Li Xiu burst into tears with ecstasy, 5S++ easily crushed them. The hacker paralyzed their entire network, and the evidence was exposed. Luo Li Fengling harvested the last one, locking Yishan with her beautiful eyes softly. Xiao Yi, my hero, my heart already belongs to you. Bai Ningxuan glanced at Can Yen and said coldly, Xiao's remnant party collapsed, and the ore fusion spirit was fully loaded. But here comes the hook, the rebels attack the federal capital, the noble leader drives the universe overlord Emperor Tian destroy the world to fight, SS+++ ultimate armor, black hole ruins parts from the same source, the capital is about to fall. Ishan's black gold armor pulses, buzzing, the massive mutant resource cabin dings, accumulates, Xiao Yi's fists crunch, his mind is filled with excitement, Ishan is invincible, the capital is defended, and the overlord of the universe kneels down. A tsunami of new projections from the fortress saluted, and the fat attendant could not help but worship. Ishan slaughtered the remnants of the wolf soul. The noble dog regretted kneeling for mercy, and the black hole surrendered. Brother Xiao Yi, the overlord of the galaxy. The high-level general's communication frequency, heroic commander, the capital is in crisis, Ishan goes to war. The ink flame streaked across the starry sky, and the bloody expedition began again. The jet-black gold-rimmed Ishan mecha rumbled across the X-47 orbit like a Starcore behemoth. The Mach 20 ink flame tail spewed out twisted heat waves, swallowing up the surrounding radiation mist. The air in the cabin was filled with the strange metallic fragrance of the newly fused black hole veins, mixed with the crisp ozone smell of high-purity helium-3 fuel, making people's minds buzz with endless desire for conquest. The projection at the far end of the fortress collapsed into a frenzied tsunami. The freshmen smashed their iron fists against the bulkheads with a loud bang-bang sound. The fat attendant knelt down, his face covered with tears and snot, and his voice was hoarse and cracked like a beast howling. Ishan's black golden armor pulses. The black hole surrenders, Wolf Soul 5S++ is wiped out. Brother Xiao Yi, the overlord of the galaxy, the hero of the capital is here. The projection of the high-ranking general's iron face trembled and magnified, and he pressed his chest with his rough hand. His voice was hoarse with admiration from the depths of his throat. Heroic commander. The Qiao family's black market has been completely exposed, and the rebels' general attack has been delayed for 3 hours. But the outer ring of the capital has fallen, Emperor Tianchu's SS++ is overwhelming, and the federal remnants are retreating steadily. Please fight. Xiao Yi leaned on the nano-leather seat in the cockpit. The warm current of internal self-healing flowed slowly like ink flames. His vision was clear and clear without any black spots. He squeezed his fist lightly and made a squeak sound. The corners of his mouth curled up with an iron-blooded arc. The waves of psychological joy surged, the black hole transformed from 9 deaths, Ishan was invincible, and the universe kneeled and licked him. Luo Li's pink shirt was half open, and the body scent of steaming sweat hit her nostrils. Her beautiful eyes were locked with mist and soft light on Xiao Yi. The wings of the wind spirit mecha hummed and were waiting for orders. Her voice was soft and full of fighting intent. Xiao Yi. The moment the remnants of the wolf soul knelt down for mercy, your Ishan was thick. Like a planet, the heartbeat is at the same frequency as the engine. I'm scouting the outer ring, and the shadow of the rebel fleet has appeared. She stepped lightly on her iron feet and jumped into the wind spirit cabin. The pink wing blades unfolded with a snap, and the pulse firecrackers warmed up with a crisp, pop sound, and she flashed out of the cabin and turned into an afterimage for reconnaissance. Li Xiuxian's fingers were flying on the frost crystal projection, and the code stream was spinning like a galaxy whirlpool. The sweat rolled down his sallow face, but he smiled and cracked his mouth. Brother Xiao. The fusion rate of massive mineral veins is locked at 100%, AI optimization is activated, the adaptive module of the black hole extractor is sublimated, the teleportation potential is unlocked, the whip blade sweeping group attack formula is rewritten. Simulation, SS+++. The evaporation rate of Huang Tian's shield is 99%. Bai Ningxuang sat in the passenger cabin with half-closed eyes, and the remaining staff banged on the bilge, and the sound was like an ice blade slowly cutting the air. Boy, the remnant army of Yishan is about to be defeated. The Huang Tian's homologous black hole parts are driven by the aristocratic leader Xiao Yi's Revenge Alliance. Optimization completed, crush. The return track gradually flattened, the low roar of Ishan's engine turned into a thick pulsating buzz, the starry sky outside the cabin stretched into a metallic river, a rare relief appeared on the team's iron face, and the fat attendant paralyzed and worshipped. The veins are full, helium-3 overflows the fortress to replenish. Ishan myth, all the freshmen in the college are on their knees. The high-level communication continued, and the general's voice was trembling. The hero status is locked. The inner ring fortress of the Federal College is permanently supplied with mutant resources, and the S-class engineer group is attentive. But the rebel army's 50S++ fleet is overwhelming the outer ring of the capital, and the mecha swarms are like locusts. Bone gnawing, the remaining army has lost 70%, the Emperor Tian's 1,000-meter thorns are accumulating energy, and the heat wave has steamed the air. Li Xiu's eyes lit up, and the welding gun clicked to fix the new module, and his voice collapsed with excitement. AI optimization is completed. Black hole absorption teleportation, energy reversal, whip blade multiform S+++++. Brother Xiao, test the machine. Xiao Yi nodded, his vision of man-machine integration expanded. Ishan's black gold armor, Gulu, nanonet operation demonstration, the melting marks healed instantly. Golden light flashed, and the fighting spirit surged in his mental calm. He gained reputation, status and treasures, trivial matters were cleared, and the capital city knelt down to welcome him. The buzz projection of Luo Li Fengling's reconnaissance report flashed, and her beautiful eyes were filled with fear and worry. The rebel army is approaching. The 50S++ gray and red wolf soul fleet's thorn arm blades blocked the outer ring. Thousands of mechas buzzed like a beehive. The laser rain poured down, and the shield of the Federal Remnant Army collapsed. The focus was on the corpses were raining down and blood mist was flying. The core of Emperor Tian's annihilation was pulsing, and the noble leader's projection was grinning. Xiao Yi is useless, Xiao Yi's wolf soul is reduced to ashes, the Revenge Alliance is locking you up. 50S++. The remnant army is defeated, and the chance of the capital falling is 95%. Although Ishan is a god, the backlash is cleared, but the energy tide is overwhelming. Bai Ningxuang narrowed her eyes coldly, and projected the tip of her staff. Boy, if you want to rise, you should suppress it first. The Emperor and the sky have the same origin to destroy the world, and the first battle has suppressed their arrogance. The general's projection kneeled down with weak legs, and his iron face twisted in despair. Heroes, retreat to the inner ring. The rebels attack in general. Emperor Tian's world-destroying ships and cannons melt the stars. The new generation projection turned into a tsunami and wailed, and someone with weak legs murmured, the 5 Ishan wolf slaughter souls are invincible, but 50? A group of thousands of mechas? Dead. Xiao Yi roared and smiled. Ishan's iron feet stepped on the track with a bang, the engine's ink flames spurted, bang, and accelerated to Mach 25 instantly, and the man-machine united like black lightning tore into the battlefield. The outer ring of the capital was blazing with flames. The rebel gray and red fleets roared and blocked the air. The thorny arm blades hissed and waved their laser nets to corrode the air. The smell of ozone burnt meat hit their faces. The remaining armor of the Federal Army exploded with a click. The driver screamed and projected, can't hold on. Emperor Tianshi is coming. The 1,000-meter-long steel body of Emperor Tianshi stood like a demon god of destruction. The giant thorn cannon buzzed and charged blue and black vortices as thick as mountains. The projection of the green and ferocious smile in the noble head cabin was enlarged. Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi's revenge, our alliance noble black market empire parts, the source of Huangtian's world-destroying S++++ black hole, the Ishan mine is robbed. The energy beam bombed and hit Ishan, and the heat wave evaporated and the pre-explosion metal droplets splashed. In the team cabin, Li Xiuxian's eyes were as wide as copper bells. The hacker needle clicked to invade the remnant army channel, and his voice trembled and collapsed. The energy field SS+++ is overwhelming, the 50 fleets are locked, Brother Xiao, teleport to unlock. Luo Li Fengling's pink whirlwind flanked the flanks, her beautiful eyes were bloodshot, and she lit up the pulse whip to clear the way. Fragrant sweat rushed into the cabin and shouted, "Hold on." The white condensate staff banged, and the frosty eyes locked, "Absorb." Xiao Yi's mind collapsed for a moment. 50S++ was like a tsunami, and the Emperor's world-destroying thorns pulsed and called for the same source. But the thick black gold armor of Yishan did not move, and the black hole absorber, Gulu Gulu, absorbed the energy beam, Zila, and turned into ink flame golden light, and the gold edge of the shield surged without damage. The AI-optimized teleportation starts, Buzz, Yishan and man merge into one and teleport hundreds of kilometers like lightning. The iron claw vortex blade hisses and pierces the shoulder armor of 3 wolf soul fleets, crunches, to dig into the core. The rain of gray-red residual limbs explodes with bang, and the scorched corpse fragments are mixed with blood mist and splash. The noble pilot's eyes bulged, his face turned from green to white, and he cried, "Teleport." Black hole absorbs countercannons. Yishan, impossible. The rebel fleet collapsed and screamed, "Divine armor teleport." Lord Huangtian, retreat. The multi-shaped whip blade stretched out and clicked to become giant cannon arms and danced in groups. The jet-black vortex cannon, bang, swept away the mecha group. Thousands of gray-red carapace, snap, internally devoured and exploded. The debris rained like a volcanic eruption, and the laser net evaporated into ozone mist. Li Xiu monitor screamed and burst into tears, and the thin-fingered welding gun fell to the ground with a snap, crushed in the first battle. Kill 10 ships with teleportation, sweep 500 mechas with the whip blade, energy reversal rate is 200%, Yishan evolves infinitely, God King. Luo Li Fengling harvested side by side, her beautiful eyes sparkled with admiration, and her pink lips trembled, Xiao Yi, side by side, invincible, heart to heart with Yi. God! The remnants of the Federal Army's eyes widened, their iron faces twisted into ecstasy, and they roared loudly. Yishan slaughtered the rebels with teleportation, and swept the group with the whip blade. Heroic commander, kneel down and greet us. The high-ranking generals knelt down and communicated tremblingly, the reputation is locked in the galaxy, and the treasure mutation library is opened. But the Emperor's world-destroying thorn turns. The Huangtian world-destroying cannon roared as it charged up. The noble leader projected a ferocious smile that turned to the edge of despair, and challenged with a hoarse voice, confrontation before the game. Xiao Yi, Huangtian world-destroying black hole comes from the same source, Xiao Zhixia's revenge alliance is immortal, decisive battle at the core of the capital, SS+++ finally suppresses Yishan. The pulse of Yishan's black gold armor responded with a buzzing, Xiao Yi roared and gathered blood, the remnants of the Federation are listening to the order. The fortress is fully loaded with fuel, wind spirit reconnaissance, Li Xiu hacks and paralyzes the network, Master Bai Ning gathers in the outer ring, the Emperor kneels down. The iron roar of the remnant army resounds, the engine roars like a surge of steel, and the new projected fat attendant worships, Yishan's first battle with 250. Brother Xiao Yi, the overlord of the universe. Li Xiu slimmed down and continued to run in ecstasy, AI sublimation, teleportation range expanded, the whole army's shield is shared. The aftermath of the battlefield calmed down, and the fragments of scorched corpses, ding-ding, hit Yishan's golden shield and healed instantly. The blood mist in the air gradually dispersed and smelled of clear metal. The massive mutated mineral vein chamber, Good Dew, overflowed with helium-3 to replenish the carapace of the remaining army, and status and reputation poured out like a galaxy. The high-ranking general kneeled down in admiration with his iron face, heroic commander, the Academy's S-level resources are fully activated, Huangtian destruction challenge is accepted, but the hook is locked. The core of Huangtian destruction dong dong throbbed, and the cosmic hegemon's main armor fully awakened. The blue-black light network surged, locking Ishan. The crystal core hummed like a beast roaring, and the noble leader's eyes were red. Ishan core, devour it. Bai Ningxuang looked at the projection with cold eyes and sneered, boy, the battle is over. The trivial matters are swept away, and the overlord kneels. Luo Li locked Xiao Yi with her beautiful eyes softly, and the wind spirit wing blade prepared for battle. Li Xiu's hacker needle, Didi, paralyzed the rebel network, the team's iron feet, bang bang, boarded the cabin, and the ink flame tail streaked the starry sky again, and the bloody battle was boiling. The lights of the capital are in sight, and the heavy pulse of Ishan shakes the hearts of the entire army, and the feeling of pleasure is like a black hole exploding. The sea of flames boiled in the core of the capital, and the gray-red rebel remnant ships buzzed and roared like steel ant nests. The spiny arm blades hissed and swayed the laser mist nets, sizzling, to corrode the air. The smoke of burnt flesh and blood filled their noses, mixed with the pungent ozone smell of highly concentrated helium-3 fuel, making the cockpit of the remnant army buzz with despair. Huangtian's world-destroying 1,000-meter-long steel body stands in the center like a blue-black demon god. The thorn cannon is as thick as a mountain. The buzzing, pulsating energy-charging vortex. The blue-black energy tide, Gulu, distorts the space and pre-explodes metal droplets. The projection in the cabin of the noble leader Xiao Yi zooms in with a ferocious smile. His eyes are red and evil like a hungry wolf. Xiao Yi is useless. Ishan Chu fights Tu Xiaopiao, Emperor Tian destroys the world SS+++ Black Hole Origin Empire Legacy, the Zhou Family Revenge Alliance is fully activated, the main cannon melts the star, and the Silver Wolf Auxiliary fights to tear your ink armor away. The gray and red body of the Silver Wolf remnant Sol B++ mecha murmured from the flanks, Xiao Zhisha's sub-control projection flashed, and the thorn whip popped to warm up and lock onto Ishan Phnom Penh. The armor of the remnants of the Federal Army exploded into pieces in the rain. The driver's horse projection was weak and he knelt down frequently. His iron face twisted into ashes of despair. The Emperor's thorn net is pressing down on the top. Hero Ishan, 50s++ has killed less than 1,000 meters of demons. The main gun blast steamed the galaxy. The high-level general knelt down and licked the whole frequency. The communication trembled and collapsed, and his thick hands grabbed his chest and howled hoarsely. The leading hero retreated from the inner ring. The rebels plotted to lock down the capital, and all the parts of the noble black market empire were exposed. The tide of Huangtian's world-destroying energy field SS++ swallowed up the entire army's shields, and the loss was 90%. The tsunami of newborn projections turned into wailing, and the fat attendant smashed the bulkhead with tears in his nose. Bang bang, cracked, Ishan myth. But Huangtian pulses to call the black hole. Xiao Zhixia will not die for revenge, he will die. Li Xiuxian's finger hit the ground, the frost crystal projection data collapsed and flashed red, his sallow face turned white and his eyes trembled. Brother Xiao. The evaporation rate of Huangtian's shield is only 5%, and the probability of the main gun simulating the core of Ishan is 87%. The teleportation locks the space distortion, and the energy reversal cannot keep up. Li Fengling's pink wing blade hummed in a low voice, her beautiful bloodshot eyes were filled with frightened water mist, her fragrant sweat was steaming, her body was fragrant and the mixed blood mist was shouting, Xiao Yi, can't hold on side by side, heartbeat is beating wildly. Bai Ningxuang's eyes narrowed coldly and the tip of the stick stabbed the bottom of the bilge, her voice was like an ice blade cutting but with a tremor, boy, if you want to rise, you must first suppress it to the extreme, the Emperor and the sky have the same force to suppress them. The thick black gold armor of Ishan stands at the battle core, the engine ink flame tail bangs to suppress the pulse, Xiao Yi's man-machine integrated vision expands and warm ink flames flow from his internal organs, and his mind collapses for a moment. A tsunami of 1,000-meter demon thorns, Xiao Zhixia's ghost takes revenge, and the universe kneels down to lick the desperate situation on the eve of the crisis. His fists crack and the corners of his mouth curl up, and he roars, the whole army obeys the order. The shield is shared, Li Xiu paralyzed the net, by Ning amplification, Luo Li sniped the silver wolf, Ishan, swallowing the sky. Huang Tian's world-destroying cannon blasted dash, the main cannon of the blue and black vortex exploded, and the space distorted the heat wave and steamed the air into a liquid metal rain, sizzling, and hit Ishan. The golden edge of the shield shook and dented, the air in the cabin solidified and filled with blood mist, and the remaining troops screamed in tsunami, melt. The hero's shield is shattered. The capital is dead. Li Xiuxiu's eyes widened, and the hacker needle clicked wildly to invade the rebel network, Didi. The galactic whirlpool of the code stream was spinning wildly, and his voice was hoarse and collapsed, space lock. But the weak point was exposed, the Silver Wolf Auxiliary Control Module. Luo Li Foamling flashed pink and was disabled. Shadow, the pulse firecrackers tore through the laser net with a crisp crackle, and the beautiful eyes were filled with tears and war intent bursting out as they locked onto Silver Wolf, Xiao Yi, clear the way for Xiao Yi. The whip blade hissed and penetrated the Silver Wolf's gray and red shell and, crunched, to dig into the core. Xiao Yi's projected face, the green-to-white eyes suddenly bulged and howled, Silver Wolf. No. Emperor Tian has sole control and revenge. The gray-red residual limbs, bang, and the charred corpse fragments exploded in the rain and blood mist splashed everywhere. Luo Li sweated and rushed back to the cabin. Her beautiful eyes admired the soft light lock Xiao Yi, sniper. Heart. Melt side by side. The remaining white condensation staff buzzed into the frost crystal energy, and the source data of the secret black hole ruins empire, Gulu, poured into the core of Ishan, and his voice turned cold and blood-soaked, amplification. The three-step fusion peak, the boy's backlash is infinite. The Emperor Tian's world-destroying thorn arm blade hissed wildly and danced like a fire net, and the blue-black laser sizzled, corroded Ishan's gold rim with dents. The oxygen in the energy-tied ballast was thin, and black spots flashed in Xiao Yi's field of vision. A psychological low, the demon god is immortal, and the same origin calls for heart-devouring. But the black hole absorber, Gulu Gulu, violently sucked the main gun's aftermath, sizzle, and reversed into a burst of ink flames and golden light, and the golden rim of the shield instantly healed and surged without damage. AI-optimized teleportation unlocks, Buzz, Ishan and Man merge into one, twisting the space like black lightning to dodge the sea of thorns. The iron claw vortex blade hisses, and throws out the hole in the Emperor's shoulder armor, squeaks, to mine the veins. The multiform plasma whip clicks and transforms into a giant cannon arm boom, to sweep the firepower network, and thousands of gray-red armors, snap, internally eat self-explosion fragments and erupt volcanically. The leader of the aristocracy, Xiao Yi, had an iron face twisted on the edge of despair in the cabin, and his voice was hoarse and screamed, teleportation and distortion. The whip penetrates the shield and evaporates 30%. Impossible, the source of the black hole surrenders to Ishan. The rebel fleet collapsed and screamed the projected tsunami, the divine armor is overclocked. The Huangtian shield shattered, the main gun reversed, retreat. Li Xiu's thin face burst into tears of ecstasy, the hacker needle, Didi, paralyzed the Huangtian auxiliary network, the welding gun, Pop, repaired the dent in Ishan in real time, his sallow eyes were as bright as stars, the repair rate is 200%. The energy reverses the tide and bites back the Emperor, the teleportation range is expanded to 1 kilometer, the whip blade S++++ multiform demon slaying god. Brother Xiao, the God King is invincible. Luo Li Fengling flanked the side and cleared the road with pulse cannons, and her beautiful eyes burst into pink with tearful admiration. Lips trembled, Xiao Yi, man and machine are one, and the heart beats at the same frequency, invincible, I love you. Bai Ningxuang's eyes were locked with passion, and the frost crystal on the tip of the staff flashed and the amplified wave buzzed in, the source of the empire resonates, the boy explodes. The iron roar of the remnant army resounded, and the cockpit projection stared wildly with an iron face. Happy to twist, Ishan is against the sky. Twisted to dodge the main cannon, whip through the demon god. Heroic commander, kneel down to welcome the slaughter of the world. The high-ranking general knelt down and worshipped with soft legs, and worshipped in a hoarse voice, famous in the universe. He is the overlord of the galaxy, and the entire army is sworn to follow. The emperor is broken. The core of Ishan throbbed, dong dong, in response to the call of the same source of the emperor and the sky. Xiao Yi roared with hot blood and gathered the super god to explode. The man-machine integrated field of vision infinitely expanded and the black golden armor pulsed like a star-core behemoth. The engine's Mach 25 ink flames burst into the space with a boom. The black hole absorber was fully opened and, Gulu, sucked in the Emperor's blue and black vortex. The energy reversal rate exploded to 500%, and the golden light shield exploded like a sun explosion. The polymorphous whip blade clicked and turned into the ultimate whirlpool. The giant claws hissed and penetrated Huang Tian's 1,000-meter breastplate. Avenge Alliance. The core of Ishan resonates, the Qiao family is dead. No. The core, boom, the blue and black singularity evaporated into a metal river, and the demon god of Huang Tian kilometer turned into fragments and poured down the volcano. The entire network of the rebels was paralyzed and the tsunami screamed and kneel down the demon god. The conspiracy of the nobles is completely destroyed, and the overlord of the Ishan universe. The aftermath of the battlefield calmed down, and the fragments of scorched corpses hit the golden edge of Ishan and healed instantly. The blood mist in the air gradually dispersed and turned into a clear metallic fragrance. The massive black hole veins, Gudu, overflowed with helium-3 to replenish the whole army's carapace with pulsating new life. The remnants of the Federal Army knelt down to greet them with a bang bang. The driver's rough projection burst into tears and worshipped, Ishan super god slaughters the emperor. The teleportation whip penetrates the resonance and shatters the demon god. Commander, the galaxy is forever sworn. The high-ranking general's iron face twisted into an arc of ecstasy, and his thick hand pressed his heart and shouted hoarsely, hero status locks the universe. Ku Yonggong, the S-level mutant of the Academy, is the full commander of the Federation. All the parts of the noble black market empire have been collected, and the rebels have collapsed and surrendered. The fat servant of the new projection couldn't help but cry, and his face was cracked, God King Xiao Yi. From a useless person, the black hole transformed into an invincible one, sweeping across the universe. The lights in the core of the capital were rekindled, the heavy pulse of Ishan shook the hearts of the entire planet, and a soothing iron-blooded smile appeared in the team cabin. Li Xiao's fingers flew and the optimization was terminated. His sallow face cracked and he burst into tears of ecstasy, Brother Xiao. The fusion rate of Ishan is always 100%, AI is infinitely adaptable, and the divine armor is legendary. Luo Li's wind spirit merged into the cabin, her beautiful eyes locked with mist and soft light on Xiao Yi, her pink shirt was filled with fragrant sweat and she hugged Tai lightly. His voice was soft and full of love, Xiao Yi. From a useless loser to an overlord, we are in harmony together, and I will marry you. Bai Ningxuang half closed her eyes and smiled, she closed the remaining staff with a dong sound, and the sound of the ice blade was gentle, boy, you have grown up perfectly. The source of the empire has opened a new chapter, and the trivial matters have been cleared up. The Federation is rebuilt like a steel tide, Xiao Yi leads the interstellar mecha army, the myth of Ishan spreads across the galaxy, the inner ring fortress of the Academy permanently supplies mutated resources, and the new tsunami worships into a legion. Li Xiao's engineering genius was promoted to S-level, Bai Ning's secret skills were inherited and established, and Luo Li's wind spirits became a pair of jade. At the grand celebration in the capital square, billions of iron-faced projections knelt to welcome him, helium-3 fireworks bang across the starry sky, and the metallic fragrance filled the air. Xiao Yi married Luo Li in a black battle robe, with tears in her beautiful eyes in a pink wedding dress, peace in the universe, my overlord husband. The whole army roared to the sky, Ishan lives forever. Brother Xiao Yi, sweep across the universe. The breakout was successful, and the fortress in the supply cabin was buzzed safely, but by Ning's figure suddenly disappeared, the staff was left behind, and the frost crystal map projection flashed, the coordinates of the ultimate mutant parts, deep inside the rebel mothership. Li Xiu's face turned pale. Master, kidnapped. Map hook, the ultimate legacy of the Empire. Luo Li's beautiful eyes were filled with worry and anger. Xiao Yi, save Master by Ning. Xiao Yi clenched his fist, and the falcon god's blue light pulsed and roared, psychologically determined, aristocratic conspiracy, rebel mothership, step on them all. The star map expanded blood red, and the undercurrent surged. But the deep core of Ishan hums, a signal of mutated parts from the abyss of the unknown universe flashes, the outer layer of the blue-black singularity faintly throbs, and new suspense is like the undercurrent of the galaxy. The overlord from further away is awakening. Xiao Yi clenched his fist, his lips curled up, and his mind surged with excitement. Invincible upgrade, continue to sweep.